A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Sam Spade Detective Agency?
Me.
Sam, it's you.
On the filter and in the flesh. Any messages, phone calls, letters, telegrams?
Just the usual. A bill from the landlord and a notice from the telephone company.
Well, dispose of them as usual.
You sound awfully chipper. Have you been on a case, Sam? Did you make some money?
Yes, I've been on a case. No, I did not make any money.
Oh, your client got murdered before he could pay you?
Wrong again. My client was a woman. She did not get murdered, and she could pay me.
Huh?
And she did.
But you just said she didn't.
True, Effie, true. Things are not what they seem.
Well, I'm a little confused. You just said that...
And I meant every word of it. Stop registering bewilderment. All is paradox. So, sharpen your pencils, straighten your seams, get out your notebook, and prepare to be confounded by the contradictions I shall contradictate to you during my report on the honest thief caper. I'm not looking over for these papers. Look alert, girl. We've many things to do. Up.
Yes. You say the strangest things on the phone.
Don't I?
I don't believe I quite understood what it was all about.
An actual misunderstanding. I didn't understand it myself. Date, Sergeant Frank Nilgus, robbery detail, San Francisco police.
From Samuel State, license on 127.
You're fast today. Subject, Ben Comiskey.
Who?
Ben Comiskey. Comiski.
Sam! I went to Albert High School with a boy named Ben Comiskey. Is he the same one?
Very likely, yeah.
Oh, Sam, tell me, did he turn out bad? Is he good? Did he get married?
Down, Effie.
Sam, I need the story. I want to know.
This is one mystery you're not going to solve by reading the last chapter first. Dear Frank, it was one of those days. The sky was black and it looked like rain, but when I put on my trench coat, the sun came out. At breakfast, it looked like I'd ordered fried eggs, and I wound up with pancakes. Also, I discovered I was wearing one blue sock and one black one. After that, I gave a cab driver a 5 instead of a 1 and let him ride off with the change. And there was one other thing.
Sam, bank just called. You're overdrawn.
They're nuts, Ev. I made a deposit 2 days ago.
I checked, Sam. You didn't.
You're nuts, too. I made out the slip myself, and... Oh.
Give me, Sam. I'll take it right down.
Yeah, better do that, Angel.
Yes. Excuse me. Oh. Can I help you, miss? Is this Mr. Spade?
Come right in, miss. Sit down. Miss Perrine, you may go and do that. Instruct them that if such a mistake occurs again, I shall take my account elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
Now, please sit down, Miss...
My name's Louise Miller, Mr. Spade. I want to hire you. How much will it cost?
Well, now, Miss Miller, let's talk about it a little
I
first.
haven't much time, Mr. Spade. I have to be at the office in a half an hour, and I have to cross town. You see, Mama thinks I should forget all about him, but I can't, and well, here I've got $95. Will you please do something? Just something.
Come on now, come on.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Now, who is he? What's he done? And why does Mama want you to forget him?
Ben Comiskey. We were going to be married pretty soon. We even picked out our furniture.
No. It's all right now. Go on. What's he done?
They say he held up a store 2 nights ago. They picked him up on the street today. He's in jail.
Mm-hmm. Well, if he's innocent, I'm sure they'll find that out.
He won't even see me, Mr. Spade. He won't see anyone. Ben's good and kind and sweet, and I love him, and I want to marry him, and I want you to find out why, what it's all about.
Look, Miss Miller, I think you should be in the office of a good lawyer. I'm sure.
He doesn't want a lawyer. He won't even see the public defender. He doesn't want anything. Oh, please, Mr. Spade, I just want to die if Ben went to prison. I just want to die.
I'm no sentimentalist, but faith is the thing we're a little short on these days, so we came to terms. It was agreed she could pay me after the job was done if there was any job to do. She left for work, and I phoned you, Sergeant Milgis, and found out Ben Comiskey had already been arraigned and was being held in the city jail. When I dropped in 20 minutes later, you walked me back to his cell.
What's it all about, Sam?
Don't know, just looking into it.
Yeah, he won't tell you anything.
No?
Kept his trap shut all the time he's been here. As far as we've been able to find out, no previous record, no background.
Well, maybe it isn't so bad for him at that, huh?
First degree, Sam. Liquor store proprietor, man named Potter over on Army Street, identified him in the morning lineup. Just like that. Picked him out of a dozen guys we hauled in.
Then what?
Now we send a couple of the boys out to Comiskey's room and find all the dough in the dresser drawer, 900 clams. Here you are. Now what? Take it easy, Comiskey. This is Sam Spade. He wants to talk to you.
Ben Comiskey was tall, dark-complexioned, about 29 or 30 years old. His hair was black, straight, and closely cropped. His features were regular, not good, not bad. I've seen plenty of hold-up men and gun-toters in my day, and he wouldn't have been cast in the part in my movie. I didn't know what I expected to say to him or what I expected him to say to me, but I didn't expect what I got.
What are you trying to do? Get out of here.
I just got here, Ben.
Well, you can just leave. Hasn't a citizen got any rights, even in jail?
Well, they start to lose them when they use a gun to make a living.
I don't want any lectures.
I haven't got any to hand out. I'm a private detective. A friend of yours hired me. She thinks you're a pretty nice guy.
Louise, huh?
Why won't you see her?
She's nuts. She ought to have her head felt. What's she worrying about anyway?
I'd say she was worrying mostly about you. And I'd say it's the sick kind of worry that gets into a girl when she loves somebody.
She shouldn't. She's nuts.
You said that. Did you rob that store?
The guy who runs it says I did. I suppose I did.
Why?
For laughs.
The complaint says you make $65 a week in an architect's office. You can eat on that.
Look, Spade, go back and tell her this. I didn't want furniture at $10 a month for the next 80 months. I didn't want a car the same way. I didn't want her working and me working and getting nothing but wrinkles. Tell her I got caught and to go and find a guy who can pay the way.
Is that all?
That's enough.
You're charged with armed robbery in the first degree. That means not less than 5 years.
I know it. Shut up about it.
Why'd you turn down a lawyer?
Hadn't you heard, Spade? They're holding up my indictment. I'm a prize pigeon. They think maybe I knocked over 10 or 12 other places in town.
Did you?
Sure, but don't worry about me. And tell Louise not to worry about me. Got $1 million salted away, and I'm going to buy my way out through the DA's office.
Okay. Have it your way, Ben. But an hour later, I found myself strolling around Ben Comiskey's old neighborhood. A man named Gabrini, who owned a grocery store, remembered him and liked him. A woman in a bakery shop told me how he'd gone into the Army as a private and been discharged a first lieutenant. A phone call to a Mr. Henderson, Allied Architects, revealed that Ben Comiskey was in line for a raise and promotion. All in all, I was getting a composite picture that didn't look quite right. I decided to try his mother's place. It was on Lombard Avenue, a street that starts on the waterfront. According to the penciled note above the doorbell, it was out of order. The slot on the mailbox read, Mrs. Anastasia Comiskey.
Yes. What is it, please?
You're Mrs. Comiskey?
I'm busy now. I fix lunch for my son. He come back from Cincinnati. Please.
Oh, Mrs. Comiskey, I'm here to talk to you about Ben. He's your son, too, isn't he?
Yes. Ben is my son.
Well, I'm trying to help him, Mrs. Comiskey.
Why? He has no money. I have no money.
A friend of his, Louise Miller, hired me.
Oh, Louise, she's a foolish girl. Very foolish. Her heart should not be with Ben.
I think he's a very lucky man to be loved by somebody like that.
If not for her, Ben would not be in jail, in trouble. Oh, you don't want to help my son. She don't want to help him. She'll leave him alone if she wants to help. Ben is bad. Not good like my son James. James is always good. Times he's away, he sends me money.
From what I hear, Ben's always been pretty good, too.
Always one good son, one bad son.
What's going on, Mom?
Oh.
Who's this?
He's come to ask questions about Ben.
Huh? I'm Jim Comiskey, Ben's brother.
Oh, my...
You run on in, Mom. I'll talk to this gentleman. All right. Get out of here.
Look, I'm just trying...
If you got any questions to ask about Ben, go to the police. They can give you all the answers. And stop bothering my mother. She's been through enough in the last 2 days. If I catch you around her again, I'll break you in half.
The man who slammed the door in my face had the same angry look and the same angry glare of Ben Comiskey. The angry Comiskey brothers definitely wanted nothing that looked remotely like help, it seemed to this casual observer. I went back to my office to wait for 6 o'clock. That's when I intended to call my client, report my opinions, and drop the case. But at 5:30, she called me.
Mr. Spade?
Yeah?
This is Louise Miller.
Oh, yes. I was just going to call you. I'm afraid I haven't been able to do much. It looks like...
I know, Mr. Spade. I just telephoned downtown. Ben pleaded guilty at the indictment this afternoon. He's going to be sentenced tomorrow.
And that, to all appearances, Sergeant Milgus, was the crop. But 2 hours later, and for the second time in one day, I found myself doing what I didn't think I'd be doing. Walking around a dull, gray, 2-story apartment house on Adams Place. My ex-client's address, to be exact. I was wondering what a lonely, distraught girl would be thinking the night before her boyfriend was shipped away to prison. I found out. I got a whiff of it as I walked down the hall. It was coming out from under her door. I had to use my shoulder. The room was acrid and stinging with gas fumes. And Louise Miller was stretched out on the floor in a 6-foot kitchen. When I picked her up and carried her out, I wasn't sure whether she was dead or not. Ten seconds after I'd found Louise Miller, I'd called a police ambulance, and in a matter of minutes, an intern was working over her with a pull motor. Her breathing became regular, and her pulse picked up, but she was still unconscious. Lieutenant Kelsey of Homicide showed up and said it was obviously a suicide attempt, which is his kind of ingenious thinking. I thought not. If she were going to commit suicide, she wouldn't have called first to pull me off the caper. She'd have let an insignificant detail like that take care of itself. No, she was too strong to pity herself and too sure of what her intuition told her to believe even Ben Comiskey's confession. With that kind of faith, I owed it to her to poke around the ashes while they were still hot. I did, and turned up a live coal in a faded blue shirt and wrinkled brown pants. Bert Singleby by name and by vocation, manager of the Greystone Arms Apartments.
What kind of a girl was she? Oh, nice, clean, sincere. The kind mothers always want their sons to marry. Boy, I wish I'd listened to mine.
Yeah, did you know her boyfriend, Ben Comiskey?
Oh, salt hors d'oeuvre.
What?
I can't understand him pulling a hold-up like that. But then, the war did strange things to
Yes, I guess it did.
Well, I almost stayed in Europe and married myself up to a French doll myself.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But Sandra, that's my wife. She'd have hunted me down in Tibet. It was easy to come home facing music.
Yeah, well, about Louise, you know any reason why she might commit suicide?
Frankly, no. I met her in the hallway tonight, and she said, Mr. Singleby, she said, Ben didn't do that hold-up because I'm pretty sure I know who did. Well, I figure she's just keeping up a front. But if she did really know that Ben didn't do it, she wouldn't have turned on the gas now, would she?
No, she wouldn't. Did she tell you who she thought did it?
No, that's all she said. She's a quiet girl. Not like my wife. Now, Sam.
Yeah, did you see or hear anything that might have been suspicious or unusual around her apartment tonight?
Now, look, I don't want to go around breaking up any homes or spreading dirty gossip around. Unless it involves Sandra's relatives.
Mr. Singleby, I promise you, sir, that I'll treat any information you give me confidentially as long as I can.
All right. Now, listen. Sandra told me not to say anything because it's a lot easier to rent a suicide apartment than a murder apartment. You know that? Confidentially, I'm a humanitarian. But if you tell anybody I said this, I'll just lie about it.
I'll never tell a soul.
Well, we were out of butter, see, so I had to run down to the store. Well, when I passed the mailboxes outside, a guy is standing there. He asked me which apartment Louise Miller was in, and I said 12B.
What do you look like?
Oh, let's see now. 5'10", medium build, tan suit, dark shirt, sort of wide brim hat, kind of flashy.
Mm-hmm.
Wore 3 or 4 big rings, diamonds they looked like. 3 or 4 big diamond rings on each hand.
The Iceman. Why didn't you tell all this to the police?
Bert, who are you talking to? Don't you dare say a word about that poor girl.
That's why. That is why. Sandra always says, keep your mouth shut and you keep out of trouble. But me, I don't know. I just love
Bert, stop talking so much and close that door.
Yes, Sandra, dear. I'm closing it.
The Iceman. I'd heard about him for years, a Chicago import, but I'd never bumped into him before. He'd been headquartering at the Red Spot Cafe, the kind of a place that Skid Row winos visit when they want to slum. It was dark inside, but I strode manfully to the bar.
Yeah? Something?
The Iceman here?
What do you want him for, huh?
He's a friend of mine.
You're a friend of whose? What are you giving me? You got bull written all over you, from the top of your stupid head to the bottom of your flat feet.
He had the tan suit, the flashy rings, the dark shirt, and a wide-brimmed hat. He stared at me with eyes that were icy and insolent. He rubbed the knuckles of one hand into the palm of the other as if he just ached for a chance to bruise them, which I was sure he did. 4 guys sauntered over to lean on the piano, and as ugly as they were, I knew it wasn't a barbershop quartet. 2 more left the bar and stood behind him, and a few others got up from nearby tables and joined the group. I should have brought my team, but I hadn't.
You're a friend of mine, huh?
Well, if it isn't Claude Bettering, the juvenile delinquent of 1940.
Is that so? Now, you're a real brain. Who are you, Brainy?
Sam Spade.
Oh, now, ain't that a pretty name? You got something on your mind?
I just wanted to talk with you about what you did to a girl named Louise Miller tonight.
Never heard of her. Sounds cute, though.
Girls are a lot easier to push around, aren't they, Claude?
Call me Ice.
Claude?
Some guys are just as easy as some dames. Where have I been all night tonight, fellas?
Here, Ice.
You heard that, Spade? I've been here all night. Any of you guys ever hear of a Louise Miller?
No.
Yeah, sorry, nobody ever heard of her, see?
Well, she has a lot of friends who have. The police, the people down at Mercy Hospital, and me. And none of us are going to forget her. Or what happened to her. And who did it.
Got something you'd like to do right now, maybe?
Yeah? But I'll pick my time.
All right. Enough of this cheap chatter. I don't want to be seen talking with you too long. I got my reputation to think about. Now blow before I take one hand out of my pocket and push your stinking face back through that door.
You'll need both hands, Samson.
Go on, you creep. Fellas.
All right. As I went rapidly through the door, Claude Bettering was standing, oily smile and all, polishing a couple of his oversized rings on his lapel. It was a picture I said I wouldn't forget, and I didn't. I went and rented myself a car, parked it down the block from the Red Spot Cafe, and waited almost all night. I knew that Louise Miller was not the kind of a girl who would have anything to do with a guy like Bettering. And if he came to her apartment, this must have been for some unloving purpose. Probably to keep her from telling who actually did the holdup Ben Comiskey had confessed to, if she found out the truth. Finally, a bunch of palookas came out, Bettering included, climbed into a car and drove off, me after them. One by one, Bettering dropped his men off at their hotels and apartments until he was finally alone. He stopped at a brownstone on Hobart, and I caught him just as he opened the door of his apartment.
Well, the tough guy.
You're going to find out.
Don't think I'm easy.
And he wasn't easy. He was 3 inches shorter and 25 pounds lighter, and wherever he had picked up his reputation for toughness, he earned it. But I never enjoyed a fight in my life any more than that one. I battered him to his knees and then to the floor, and he still wouldn't give up.
You stinking creep.
Why did you beat up Louise Miller?
I didn't.
Why?
I didn't. Why? I didn't.
Why? Your poppin' house manager identified you.
He's a liar.
Who did you do it for?
Nobody.
Who?
Nobody.
Who?
You stinking creep. I'll push your face.
Who? Who?
Push your face.
He went out. Quite a guy, the Iceman. I used his phone to call the police and tell them to pick him up for attempted murder. Then, with dawn coming up and my energy going down, I went back to the city jail, got a pass, and woke up Ben Comiskey.
Why don't you stop messing around in my business, Spade?
Did you ever really love that girl of yours?
Get out, you sadistic jerk.
Well, she's in Mercy Hospital now. You can send her a card. Write something nasty on it. So long.
Spade.
Yeah?
What's she in the hospital about?
What do you care?
Tell me, please.
Somebody turned on the gas in her apartment and tried to kill her. It's nothing, really.
Please. Who did it? Who did it, Spade?
I think it was a guy named Claude Bettering. They call him the Iceman in certain circles.
But why?
That's what I'd like to know. Who's Bettering?
I don't know.
Your girl believed you were innocent, Comiskey, but you said you weren't. My guess is that somebody figured she knew something and tried to shut her up. I think Bettering was hired by somebody.
Spade, look, I don't have any dough, see? But I want to get out of here for one day. You know anybody to raise the bail? I won't skip, and I'll pay back anything you want.
Why?
I got to see somebody.
I don't think I can. Who do you want to see?
My lousy, dirty, low-down, no-good brother.
He hired Bettering?
Who else? He did everything. He's always done everything wrong. He held up that liquor store, but he's on parole, a 2-time felony offender. One more rap and he'd go up for 20 years. I did this for him, yeah. Look at me. I did it for him, and he tries to kill my girl.
Your mother said he was a good boy, hard-working, lived in Cincinnati.
Me again. I told her all that. She believed it. I started a whole stupid lie and had to go through with it. I could explain 2 years, 3 years to her, but not 20. He promised he'd go straight. He promised.
I see.
I even sent him money I earned and said it was from him. Oh, you never saw anybody like me before, did you?
No, I haven't.
Get me out. Get me out, Sam, and I'll drag him in by his back teeth.
Thanks anyway, but I'll do it myself.
Spade, let me do it. Let me do it, please.
I drove over to Mrs. Comiskey's house and knocked on her door. She came out in a housecoat, hair mussed, and sleep still in her eyes.
Yes?
I'm sorry to bother you at this hour, Mrs. Comiskey, but is your son home, Jimmy?
Jim, no, he went out last night. He didn't come back yet.
I see. When do you expect him?
Well, he didn't say.
He didn't have to because I saw a closet door move and I was in and across the room. In a second, I pulled the door back and Jim Comiskey came out, gun and all.
Oh, Jim, you've gone crazy.
She hurried across the room, threw herself between Jimmy and me, and started wrestling the gun away from me. He put one hand flat on her face and knocked her halfway across the room. I went at him. He shot, but it went into the ceiling. I didn't give him a chance to do it again. Don't. You held up the liquor store, didn't you?
Yeah.
And hired Bettering to kill Louise Miller?
Yeah.
And you're going to take your own rap from now on?
Yeah. Yes, I will.
And he did. Period. End of report.
Oh, Sam, that poor old lady.
Yeah. Yeah, she lived in a dream world built by a son who had too much heart and not enough common sense.
But, Sam, that man in the liquor store identified Ben as the hold-up man.
Well, when he saw both brothers together, he realized he'd made a mistake. At night, with a hat pulled down and a collar up, anybody could have confused the Comiskey brothers.
Sam, why is the world so cruel?
Because people live in it. Now, go on and type it up, huh?
Well, here it is, Sam. And if you don't mind my saying so, it's a lesson to everybody.
If you say so, Anne.
Sam, I'm just infuriated.
Now, don't go too far.
Misplaced love, devotion, it just isn't right.
Now, hand me the glass.
Well, this kind of thing could be going on all over the world.
The glass up.
If it weren't for people like you who step in and take things in hand.
The glass!
Oh! Here you are, Sam.
Thank you, Miss Brain.
Honestly, Sam, look, just honestly, that's all.
Are you finished?
Well, I have some sociological feelings, too. I'm just not an automat or secretary you turn on and off with...
Come here. Come here.
With each new case, I have feelings.
Effie, I just kissed you.
I know what...
I just kissed you.
Oh, Sam.
Delayed reaction. Must be the heat.
Oh. Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart.
Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic and the new Wild Root Liquid Cream Shampoo present The Adventures of Sam Spade.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Me, sweetheart.
Oh, Sam. I'm glad you're back in
in town.
So am I, Effie. So am I. Confidentially, I didn't think I'd make it. Confidentially, that is.
Was it dangerous, Sam?
I should say it was. Why, for the past 24 hours, I've been at it hammer and tongs over hill and dale, through shot and shell. It was enough to turn any ordinary man's blood to ice and his hair pure white.
Oh, that sounds terrifying, Sam.
I wish it had been only terrifying, Effie. It was blood-curdling, spine-chilling, hair-raising. I was bored. It was also rural and countrified.
Well, what happened, Sam? Tell me.
You've heard of the Mountains and the Coys?
No.
And the Boston Massacre?
No.
Custer's Last Stand?
No.
Well, put them all together, and they spell what I'll shortly be in a dictate, a report which I call in a burst of clever literary plagiarism, the Farmer's Daughter Caper.
The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective, starring Howard Duff. Produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Presented by the makers of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic, the non-alcoholic hair tonic that contains lanolin. To look your holiday best, friends, be sure to use Wild Root Cream Oil, America's favorite hair tonic. Wild Root Cream Oil grooms your hair neatly and naturally, relieves annoying dryness, removes loose, ugly dandruff. What's more, it's non-alcoholic and contains soothing lanolin. Get Wild Root Cream Oil in the big family-size bottle or handy tube. Ask for it at your drug or toilet goods counter very first chance you get. For the holiday and all year round, use Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too. And now, with Howard Duff as Spade, Wild Root brings to the air the greatest private detective of them all in the adventures of Sam Spade.
Effie,
I'm right here, Sam.
pull up all the shades.
All right, Sam.
Now, turn on every light in the place.
But it's daylight.
Do what I say.
All right, Sam.
Now, check the closets.
But what for?
For snipers. What do you think?
All right, Sam. Nobody here.
Okay. I guess it's safe to come all the way in.
Oh. What's this all about, Sam? I don't understand.
Effie, it's just that I don't ever want to be caught in the dark again, especially when people are shooting at me. I want to see every nook and cranny of every square foot of land that surrounds me.
Sam, who was shooting at you? Where?
They were shooting from the left, from the right, from up above, down below, everywhere. Death was winging on every breeze that blew, and they all blew my way.
Oh, Sam, now stop this. I'm just dying of curiosity.
When my time comes, I hope that's all I ever die of. Ready?
Yeah.
Date this week to Mr. Elliot Parson, Parson Drive Yourself Garage, 1618 St. Charles Street, San Francisco, 13, California. From Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, the Farmer's Daughter Caper. Dear Mr. Parson, I fear you have an explanation coming, one that you can pass along to your insurance company as to why the car I rented from you last week appeared as late as it did and in the condition it did. As you know, I rented said vehicle to drive to Middletown to bail a client out of the drunk tank. On the way back, a native showed me a shortcut, and I'll get him if it's the last thing I do. Dusk was falling, and so were my eyelids, when I saw a sign that said tourists invited. Behind it stood a ramshackle farmhouse in a surly woodland setting. I should never have knocked on that farmhouse door, but then I wouldn't have had any story to tell, would I?
Good evening, young man.
Good evening, madam. I'm afraid I need a room for the night.
Well, of course you do. Land sakes, you're tired. I can tell by your eyes. Been on the road long?
Too long.
Land sakes, of course you have. Come in, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
You'll find this is the homiest tourist home in California.
Really like mothers, eh?
Like your grandmother's. No electricity, no phones, just quiet.
I see.
Now, I have two rooms, a $3 one and a $5 one. Which one do you think you'd like?
What's the difference?
One less blanket, one squeaky spring, and with the $3 one, you might have to take a walk.
I'll take the $5 one, thank you.
I'm Mrs. Elkins. Mrs. Bert Elkins. Who might you be?
Sam Spade.
Spade? Land sakes, that's a very unusual name. And who are you traveling with, Mr. Spade?
I'm alone.
Oh, I mean what company? We only accept traveling salesmen. You realize that.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm traveling for the makers of Mouton Mustache Wax.
Oh, use it all the time.
You are well-groomed, madam.
You will go far, young man.
Yeah, but before that, I'd like to go to bed.
Come on, this way.
She led me upstairs to my $5 room and left me. As lumpy as it was, the bed invited me, but I decided to shave first
and thus facilitate an early start in the morning. I poured myself a drink out of my traveling bar kit and then stepped in to shave. It wasn't easy because all I had for light in there was an oil lamp. When I came back to the bedroom with the lamp in one hand, I stopped short in utter surprise. I'd heard about these things in traveling salesman stories, but I never expected to see it. She was sitting in an armchair smoking a cigarette. High heels, silk stockings, light rayon dress, and a face right off the cover of Cosmopolitan.
Hello, Sam.
Hello.
Mary Smith.
Huh?
Hope you don't mind me just barging in.
Well, no. No, that is,
Afraid I'll bite you?
It never entered my mind.
Well, I might. I'm so tired of talking to myself, I need someone like you. You know, you're not bad to look at.
Who, me?
Where do you live? What do you do for a living?
Well, I guess you'd call me independently wealthy. I wish someone would.
How nice. San Francisco?
There must be some fog on my lapel.
Look, Sam, I'll give it to you straight. I want to get out of here, go to San Francisco. Could you take a passenger tomorrow?
Well, what would your mother say?
She's my aunt. What do I care what she says? I don't belong on a farm. Out in the west, wet pasture ruins my nylons. I'm a city girl, Philadelphia.
Why did you leave?
My parents died. Look, Sam, I won't be a burden to you. I just want to get to San Francisco. After that, I'm on my own. Sam, take me with you. Please take me with you. You won't regret it.
Well, what am I going to do with this lamp?
Who cares? Oh, Sam.
Well,
I thought I'd find something like this going on in here. Get out of here. Go back to your room, young lady. Go on. Now, Mr. Spade.
It does look bad, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm not blaming you, Mr. Spade. Land's sakes, it's her. She ain't responsible for what she does. She's like this all the time.
I see.
Now, when I go out, you just lock your door. Just keep it locked.
But, man, this is a $5 room. A sleepless hour later, I heard something slide under my door. I looked and found it was a note that read, Mr. Spade, Sam, please unlock your door, and when the house is quiet, I'll come and see you. I'm desperate, terribly, terribly desperate. Don't leave me. Give me a chance to tell you what it's all about, please. Stupid me, I unlocked my door, dressed again, and waited. An hour and a half later, I heard my doorknob turning in the dark. The door opened quietly and quickly.
Sam, the things that go on in this house, they're insane.
Oh.
I've been here 3 months. When my father died, I had no money, and because Aunt Maud was my only relative, I came here. And ever since I came, they never let me out of the house for more than an hour. They never let me see anyone or do anything.
Why?
I wish I knew. 5 days ago, Uncle Bert left early one morning. He hasn't come back since. Aunt Maud says he's away on business. He doesn't have any business.
Well, even so, that doesn't seem strange to me.
Then there's my dog.
Well, what about it?
It disappeared the same night Bert did. They told me it ran away. I know it didn't. I've had it for 3 years. It never ran away.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I was sure I could hear it howling somewhere for 2 or 3 nights. Then the howling stopped. I think I know where it is. But I don't know why. It scares me.
Well, where do you think it is?
And you're going to think I'm crazy right out of my mind, but... Well, about 150 yards behind the house, there's a hillside with an old cave in it.
Oh, an old cave.
I don't know what it's used for, but yesterday I saw the whole front end of it closed. Closed with dirt. Sam, they buried that dog alive in that cave. I know it.
Oh, wait a minute now. Did you ask Mrs. Elkin?
Yes. All she said was the dog ran away and mind your own business. She told me to leave the cave alone. Sam, let's go out there and look. Please.
Well... So big, brave, stupid Sam, idiot boy, allowed her to show me the back way out of the house, and we sneaked to the barn together. She found a shovel, and we walked to the cave. When my eyes got accustomed to the dark, I saw the entrance had been covered with dirt, and recently. I took the shovel while she stood watching. I cleared half of the dirt away and worked as quietly as I could, but apparently not quietly enough. A flashlight suddenly hit both of us in the face, and a shotgun barrel flashed in the beam.
Get away from there before I shoot your head off.
Point that thing someplace else, please, ma'am.
What do you think you're doing, mister?
Digging.
Mary, you get back to the house. No. Aunt Maud, I won't. Get back to the house before I count 3, or I'll put a load of buckshot right through you. Now, 1. Aunt Maud, my dog is in there. 2. All right,
Now, Mrs. Elkin, suppose you put that gun down and tell me what this is all about.
I got one thing to say to you, mister. Get in your car and get out of here, and don't waste any time doing it.
But, madam...
Your suitcase is in the car, and your $5 is with it.
Yeah, but...
Now get, or I should choose a trespasser. And I could do it, mister. Land sakes, I could do it. Now get.
So I got, under guard, to my car. I got in and drove off. And Mrs. Elkin stood in the driveway with a shotgun still pointed at me until I was out of sight. I turned left at the first crossroad, parked the car, and cut through the woods back to the farm. I could see a light in the living room. Nobody was in or near the barn. And when I got to the cave, there wasn't a sound anywhere. I picked up the shovel I dropped and started digging again. 30 minutes later, the shovel broke a small hole through into that cave, and a stifling blast of fetid air rushed out, and something leaped out at me in the dark. And it wasn't the dog. It was a human hand on a human arm. The makers of Wild Root Cream Oil are presenting the weekly Sunday adventure of America's favorite private detective, Sam Spade. Now, here's important news on good grooming. If you want the well-groomed look that helps you get ahead, socially and on the job, listen. Recently, thousands of people from coast to coast who actually purchased Wild Root Cream Oil were asked, how does Wild Root Cream Oil compare with the hair tonic you previously used? The results were amazing. Better than 4 out of 5 who replied said they preferred Wild Root Cream Oil. Remember, non-alcoholic Wild Root Cream Oil contains lanolin. It grooms the hair naturally, relieves dryness, and removes loose, ugly dandruff. So if you want your hair to be more attractive than ever before, get the new 25-cent get-acquainted bottle of Wild Root Cream Oil, America's leading hair tonic, on sale at all drug and toilet goods counters. It's also available in larger economy bottles and the handy new tube. By the way, smart girls use Wild Root Cream Oil, too, and mothers say it's grand for training children's hair. Get Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too. And now, back to the Farmer's Daughter Caper. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. A night already full of surprises. I should have been ready for the next one, but I wasn't. The loose earth, which had blocked the entrance to the cave, suddenly fell away, and I fell with it. Then I heard something like nothing on earth. Nails dragged across my face, taking skin and flesh with them. I twisted and went down, and something went down with me. The snarl became a voice.
Baby alive! Baby alive! I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
And he did his best, which was pretty good. Finally, I got a good hold on him and sat on his chest. After that, I lit a match and looked at a tall, thin man in his middle 40s. He was caked with mud from head to foot. His hands were impossibly torn and bleeding. I could guess why. Judging from the stubble on his face, he'd been bottled up in that cave at least 5 days. How he was still alive, I didn't know. He acted like a madman, and he had every right to. But surprised, when his eyelids fluttered open again, he read a very sane line.
Well done, then. You got a drink, friend?
Not on me.
They hit me on the head and left me there. They thought I'd stay in there forever. Forever.
Who put you there? Who did it?
But they couldn't keep me there. I dug my way out, didn't I? Didn't I? I took my way out. Didn't I?
The force of the bullets knocked him halfway back down the incline to the cave. All I could do was hit the dirt. Finally, when it seemed safe, I broke cover and ran smack into somebody carrying 2 bags.
No, please.
Let's have a look at you.
Sam, it's me. Sam, I knew you wouldn't go away without me. I knew it. I couldn't stay in that awful house any longer.
None of that now. Who was that shooting at you?
I don't know.
Where's your aunt?
House, I suppose. I slipped out the back way.
Any visitors tonight?
No. What is it? What is it?
I think I found your Uncle Bert. Come on. I led her back to the cave entrance and showed her the body of the man I'd dragged out. I watched her face a long time as she looked at him very carefully.
That's not Uncle Bert, Sam.
Really?
No. It's Mr. Linden, jewelry salesman. Came to the place a few nights ago.
5 nights ago?
Yes, come to think of it.
The same night your uncle disappeared. Tell me, did you ask Mr. Linden to take you back to San Francisco the same way you asked me? Did you?
Yes. He said he would. Got up early and left without me.
He didn't get far. What kind of car was he driving?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Do you drive a car?
Yes, but
Here. Mine's down the road about 500 yards. Go to the nearest phone and call the highway patrol, the sheriff, anybody who represents law. Got that?
Yes, I know exactly what to do.
To make sure we were both thinking of the same thing to do, I followed her in the dark, watched her get into the car I rented from you, and drive off. Then I turned around, put a new clip in my gun, and walked back to the old homestead. It was still very homey. By the light of an oil lamp, Mrs. Elkins was peacefully knitting what looked like a shroud.
Why? Why, Mr. Spade?
Why, Mrs. Elkins?
Land sakes.
Land sakes. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get down to business.
If you're here to make trouble, young man, believe me, I can handle trouble. My kind of stock know about trouble.
Well, suppose you tell me about the trouble I just had, or haven't you heard all the shots that were fired around here tonight?
Shots?
My.
Seems I would have heard gunshots.
Seems you would. Look, I've got a sheriff on the way.
Have you, Mr. Spade? Why?
I suppose you didn't hear the shooting.
Oh, yes, I'd forgotten. Was anyone hurt?
A man named Linden. He's dead.
Linden. Now, that sounds familiar.
It should. He stayed here 5 nights ago. He was a jewelry salesman.
Yes, now I remember. You say he's dead?
Somebody tried to bury him alive in your little cave.
How awful. I do declare.
I thought you would. Well?
You must be joshing, Mr. Spade.
I'm not joshing at all, Mrs. Elkins.
Well. Dead alive, you say.
Look, let's talk just like plain folks. Where's your husband? Where's the jewelry samples you probably stole from Linden? Is there anything else you want to say?
Gunshots, eh? Well.
I left the sweet old thing knitting and rocking and made my way through the house looking for guns, jewelry, and killers. I got downstairs in time to see Mrs. Elkins disappear out the front door. When I tried to follow, I stumbled over the rocking chair, which is indeed a lucky thing for me. After a few minutes of silence, bravely crawling on my stomach, I followed the shadows of the house until they blended into the shadows of a large, hulking building, which happened to be the barn. Inside, I bumped my head on the radiator of the car. Naturally, I didn't find any keys in it, but I did find a familiar jewelry salesman-type mud-soaked corpse. I was trying to remember how to cross ignition wires. I heard the hum of a motor and saw 2 headlight beams swinging up the driveway. They lasted as long as any other lights. The car came to a lurching stop, and a thick-set figure in a Stetson hat stumbled towards me, tugging at a gun.
That burned gall-blame cuff thing,
Undo the flap.
Oh, thanks. Huh? Put your hands up, whoever you are.
You be the sheriff?
You're dead blame right on the sheriff. You're dead blame right on the sheriff. Who are you? What's you out here shooting the lights out in my car?
My car.
Oh, you Slade?
Spade.
Well, I'm Homer Pickett, sheriff of this county. The girl come, woke me up, said all sorts of funny things going on around here. Said there'd been a murder. Now, who's killed? What's going on, Stan?
Sam. Well, for one thing, somebody's been trying all sorts of ammunition on me for size.
You don't say.
I do say, Mr. Sheriff.
Why?
Because I found a man in a cave who'd been left there to die.
Want to look at the corpse?
You can look at him right here. He's sitting in this car.
So, yeah. How'd he get here?
Somebody moved him here.
Shouldn't have moved a corpse till the police examine it.
I didn't move it.
Huh?
Now, listen closely. Listening?
Huh?
I found the man. He was still alive. Then somebody shot him.
Shouldn't have moved him.
Then they tried to kill me because I found him. When they didn't kill me, they decided to hide his body.
Illegal.
They probably intended to drive away and dispose of it so there'd be no evidence when an efficient, smart, alert, courageous police officer like yourself came around to ask questions.
That sounds reasonable. Who's behind all this?
Well, Mrs. Elkins threatened me once and tried to kill me once.
Well, land say.
Well, that's her, yes.
I want to talk to her. Where's she?
Roaming the countryside with a gun, no doubt.
Well, let's clear all this up. See what it's all about. Now, who's this fellow in the car?
His name's James Linden.
You got a pencil? Better write that down. Tilden, huh?
Linden.
Well.
By any strange coincidence, Sheriff, you happen to know a man named Dundee, San Francisco homicide?
Lieutenant Dundee, old Tom.
Old Tom, yes.
Shucks, I learned everything I know about police work from him.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
And law's law. Dundee always said.
Yeah, I've heard him say it, Sheriff. But...
And I am to enforce it around here. One side, Mr. Slade.
Spade. Hey, you'll be sorry. Well.
Now look here, all you Elkins. This Homer Pickett talking, and I ain't no small-town constable. I'm the sheriff of this county. You'll get a square deal from me, but first I order you in the name of the law to throw down your guns. Well? My.
You all right?
Nothing but my feelings hurt. Oh,
I warned you.
I thought that'd do some good.
Well, now you know. Hey, look, maybe it did do some good.
I'm giving up, Sheriff. I'm giving up. It's me, Mrs. Elkins.
She came across the farmyard as the first light was showing in the eastern sky. Her hands were above her head. One held a shotgun.
Get back where you belong, Maud.
We could hear, but we couldn't see him. Maud stopped, hesitated for a moment, and then began running towards us. She almost made it. I ran out to drag her back, expecting any second to be the target for the night. There was a sudden and curious silence as I pulled her into the barn. She was still alive.
Hey, that man's been missing everybody all night. Never thought he'd be able to hit me.
Easy.
I come from good stock. I'm no criminal, Mr. Spade. Sheriff, you know that.
Yeah, I know, Maud. I know.
Let me take a look at you. You'll be okay.
Don't blame Bert too much. He wanted to have money once in his life. So when this man came along with all the jewelry, Bert went out of his mind. He put the man in the cave. And the dog, too. So the dog wouldn't call attention to him. And then he took the man's car. Went into San Francisco to try to sell the jewels in the underworld.
No luck, eh?
Bert says they laughed at him. The jewels were just paste. Samples.
And he came back and found me at the cave, and he figured he had to knock us both off.
I just stuck by him all the way. Now he's like a tiger that smelled blood. No telling what he'll do.
We'll have to get help, Spade. Roadblocks, bloodhound.
No, this is his land. He won't run. He'll hide here.
Where?
Why, in the cave.
Well, I reasoned, one, that no matter how much a man loved his land, he was not going to let himself be trapped in a cave with only one exit. And two, it followed, therefore, that if he did hide in the cave, there was more than one way out, which the late Lyndon hadn't found. Sheriff Pickett volunteered to watch the front of the cave while I looked around for a rear exit. After a 20-minute search, which netted me nothing, I remembered the car parked inside the barn and how quickly Elkins had carried Lyndon's body to it. I went back there and took a look around. In a corner of the barn, I found a trail of dirt leading to a bale of hay. When I moved the bale, I found, you guessed it, a trap door. I pulled it open, caught a familiar whiff of used-up air, and lowered myself into a black hole that turned out to be a passageway. I cautiously made my way forward in the darkness for a few yards.
Who is it? Who is it?
I pressed back against the dirt wall, listening to him approach. When I figured he was close enough, I threw a cloud of dirt toward him across the passageway. His gun flashed and lit up the whole place for a second, and I fired 3 times at the silhouette. I waited, then I went towards him. He was lying on his back. I kicked his gun away, and when I bent over him to feel his pulse, he suddenly came to life. Something crashed against the side of my head, and everything became darker than the inside of a cave. The next thing I knew, I was looking at a pair of red-rimmed eyes. Several minutes had gone by.
Thought you was a goner for sure. You ain't used to this country fighting, are you?
Is this country liquor, Sheriff?
Yeah.
Give me.
Yeah,
country liquor. Tell me, Sheriff, did you by any chance...
Well, sure, of course I did. I got him, Slade.
Period, and a report.
Sam. Do you mean to tell me you let a little country sheriff outdo you?
Well, Effie, Homer Pickett's coming up for re-election next fall, and besides, you might think I was egotistical if I told you how it really ended.
But your reputation. You're the greatest private detective of them all.
And so I can afford to be generous. Now, not another word. Scoop, type that up.
If your supply of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic is getting low, better make a note to get some more tonight or first thing tomorrow. Remember, Wild Root Cream Oil is the famous hair tonic that grooms your hair neatly and naturally, relieves dryness, removes loose dandruff. Always keep a big bottle or tube on hand. And ask your barber for a professional application of Wild Root Cream Oil Hair Tonic. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too.
Let me see here. F, you rewrote the ending.
I had to, Sam. You're much too modest.
And Sam Spade, with a knot of cold fury in the pit of his stomach, a vindictive fire in his eyes, stepped wearily over the loose rocks in the cave floor to do battle with the thing that loomed up in the darkness ahead. The thing's roar filled the night with terror. But Sam Spade, dauntless and knowing not fear, stepped up to the monster, laughed in its hairy face, and with one quick convulsion of his powerful shoulder muscles, dropped the thing in its tracks. I see. Well, is that the way you think it ended, Effie?
Oh, Sam, I guess I was being a little foolish. I'll change it.
No, as long as you've done it this way, we'll leave it this way. Can't waste paper.
No, I'll change it, Sam.
Leave it!
Oh! Sam.
Yeah?
I copied that ending out of an old Black Mask magazine.
You what?
Don't be mad.
Come here. Come here. I copied that out of an old whiz-bang.
Oh, nice.
Good night, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade are produced and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade is played by Howard Duff. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade was written for radio by John Michael Hayes and E. Jack Newman. Musical direction by Lud Gluskin, with score composed by Pierre and Renee Garrigay. Join us again next Sunday when producer William Spear presents another adventure with Sam Spade. Brought to you by Wild Root Cream Oil. Again and again, the choice of men and women and children, too. This is Dick Joy speaking. Here's an exciting new shampoo that's grand for all the family. And here's our own Squeaky to tell you about it.
Look at your hair, is it stringy and dull? Does it only cover your skull? The Wild Root Liquid Cream Shampoo is just the thing for girls like you. Gleams your hair, know what I mean, and leaves your hair squeaky clean.
Squeaky clean?
Squeaky clean. Wild Root Liquid Cream Shampoo.
Stay tuned for the Summer Symphony with Katherine Grayson on NBC.
In response to requests representing millions of listening friends, the National Broadcasting Company is pleased indeed to bring you again The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sweet. What number have I got?
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Oh, well, me, sweetheart.
Nothing's happened. Call me later, Dwight.
The white check. Look.
I didn't know you were in town. You didn't write to me or...
Effie, F.
Yes?
This is me in the flesh, Sammy the Spade. Oh, now what?
Goodbye.
Effie, I'm in a payphone. My nickel is running out.
Oh, Dwight, how can you be so cruel and play jokes at a time like this?
Wait, listen. Hello, you listening?
Yes.
I am not dead. Don't believe everything you read in the papers. Or hear on the radio. You were at my funeral. Is that what you were about to say?
Yes. Oh, it was lovely.
Don't believe that either. Stay right where you are, sweetheart, because I'll be there, alive and handsomer than ever, with an account of a caper which proves you can kill some of the people part of the time. My exaggerated report on the death of Sam Spade.
NBC welcomes back to the air a character who has captured the public imagination more completely than any other since the birth of Sherlock Holmes. William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you the greatest private detective of them all in The Adventures of Sam Spade. Ain't it grand to be bloomin' well dead? Candles at my feet, candles at my head.
We're not open for business today. I mean, Mr. Spade's office is closed right now because...
I'll wait.
Oh, you look just like Mr. Spade. What's your name?
Spade. S-P-A-D-E. Spade.
Sam never told me he had a twin brother.
He doesn't.
But then you...
I'm me, Sam. Oh, wait. Come here. Now do you believe me? Oh, what's the use?
Oh, you're so much like him.
Oh, never mind.
I'll get your pencil and paper and take it. Date November 17th, 1950. To Miss Effie Perrine.
That's me.
From Samuel Spade. That's me. License number 137596.
You must have been the last one to see him alive. Did he tell you to give me a message?
Shut up. Subject, my death. Dear Effie, since the sight of me in the flesh, breathing, hungering, and living doesn't convince you, maybe this report will. Think, if you can, back to last Monday. Now, if you recall, it was about 11 o'clock when, on the flimsy pretense that we needed stamps for the office, you drew $2 from petty cash and stepped out to buy a pair of step-ins. And that's when my client materialized. He was small and thin and carried with him the unmistakable odor of stale flowers. His black alpaca suit, string-bowed tie, elevator shoes, and white gloves had no bearing on his conversation.
Oh, dear. My name is Chester Swan.
Are you sure?
Yes.
My name is Spade. What can I do for
How
you?
tall are you, Mr. Spade?
6 feet in my feet.
Weight?
178.
I always notice a man's bone structure, don't you?
Oh, always.
Open.
Huh?
Open. Let me see inside.
I guess?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Fine.
Oh, well, now that you know me this well, Mr. Swan, what can I do for you?
Oh, dear. Perhaps I shouldn't have come here at all. I'm sorry, Mr. Spade.
Well, really?
Oh, dear.
Oh, hello again, Mr. Swan. You wanted to talk to me?
Yes, but I can't talk now. Mr. Spade.
Still here.
There. I live at 8516 Claremont in Berkeley. I'll be there tonight. Oh, dear.
This time, as he made his exit, he left $50 on the edge of my desk. And so, stupid me, I was at 8516 Claremont at the close of the day. It was a small white cottage with green shutters and a white picket fence. There was a hill in back and a brook in front. The sun was beginning to set on it, and it was all very picturesque. In fact, so much so that a girl with red hair, blue jeans, purple smock, oils, and canvas was making it immortal. She liked me immediately.
Here, hold this.
Certainly.
Like it?
Oh, yeah.
This is my first landscape. I'm a sprouting artist.
Obvious. Makes your own?
Not when I can get somebody to do it for me. Who are you?
Oh, I might be a fellow artist.
Don't do that. You're a liar. You're Sam Spade. I saw your picture in a newspaper clipping when I was helping Chester clean out his desk before he moved it.
But I...
You don't know an easel from a palette.
Oh, but I could learn.
I take it seriously.
Oh, then so do I.
I doubt it. You've never tried to get away, to stand off, to throw off the shackles, have you?
No. I'll have to admit that the urgency of living, the pressure of merely existing, has had to...
Catfish, Sam. By the way, I'm Amy Goodrich.
Catfish?
The world is full of unhappy people who never try to get away from it all.
Well, honestly...
Stop it?
Well, I wanted to, really.
Honestly, Sam, get away from everything. Leave, dissolve.
I dreamed of it.
Never return.
Cross my heart.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing here?
To see Mr. Swan.
He isn't home yet. His house is a wonderful subject. Look, Sam, colorful, moderate, pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
That is until the sun stops shining. But picture it at night in the fog, crushed with barrenness, full of death, brooding. I'm trying to capture that, too. It's what we've got to get away from, isn't it?
Absolutely. You and I...
Sam, as you start up the hill on Claremont, there's a green apartment house on the right. I'm in 420.
Well, maybe we'll find a way out together.
Maybe.
I waved her a fond farewell and sat on the steps of my client's house until he showed up at 6:15. He took me inside where the only furniture was an army cot and a portable barbecue.
I'm so glad you kept our appointment, Mrs. Spade. I'm so frightened. I've been upset all week long. I didn't know what to do. I just didn't.
And what have you been so upset about, Mr. Swan?
Well, lately, Mr. Spade, infrequently, for the last week I've noticed a man. I think he's following me.
Mm-hmm.
At first I'd see him in a car following my bus when I went downtown. Then he'd be waiting around at the bus stop in the evening when I came back. I've sold my house, and I'm ready to move. It's unnerved me so much, but...
Did he follow you home tonight?
No, but
well, would anyone be following you, Mr. Swan?
Well, I don't know, Mr. Spade. I don't know. I really don't.
All right, I'll try another tack. What does this man look like?
He always wears dark clothes and a hat. I'd say he was about your height.
6 feet.
I remember. Maybe heavier. Same bone structure, though.
Yeah. You haven't been to the police?
Oh, dear, no. A man in my business can't afford off-color publicity.
No? What kind of business is that?
The Bonton Mortuary.
Oh.
25 years. Same location. Oh, and I've worked hard. So very hard. And if there's something behind all this, something that has stopped me from being made the executive secretary of the Undertakers Breakfast Club when they hold their annual election next month, I don't know what I'll do, Mr. Spade. I just don't really know what I'll do. I just don't.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Swan. You'll feel better. Just let it all out. Just really do. And he did. When he stopped crying, I instructed him to go about his daily habits as always and left, assuring him I'd get to the bottom of it all. I walked down to the corner ostentatiously, which is a neat trick well calculated to throw nefarious observers off the track and lull them into false security. And when the bus showed up 10 minutes later, I got on it, rode 3 blocks, walked back, and took a plant across the street. A clever ruse, as you see, to invite a showdown. 2 hours later, a man about my size in dark clothes appeared over the hill and crept stealthily to the front of my client's cottage. He had his eyes glued to the window when I walked up behind him.
Hey, let go of me.
Come on, you're going inside.
Listen, I'm no peeping Tom.
No, you're the bloodhound type. I'm inviting you in for a real sniff at
Oh,
your
no,
dog.
you don't. Well, all right, then. I'll go quietly.
No, okay, that's better. Now, we'll just walk on. The kick he landed on me wasn't according to Queensberry. I couldn't move for 3 or 4 minutes, and by that time he disappeared. When I recovered my faculties, I reported the incident to my client, who cried himself to sleep. After I bolted him in for the night, I stopped on my way down the hill at apartment 420 in the little green apartment house. She was still wearing the blue jeans and the purple smock, and she still had the same ideas.
Come in, Sam. You said you were serious about getting away from it all, and a whole day has passed.
It was the pressure of living. I'm here to apologize.
You are not the girl.
I'm sorry, Amy.
I love to be fooled, Sam. You're forgiven.
How's the painting coming? The one of Swan's cottage.
Slow. Fog is always tough.
Looks nice, though. How long have you been on it?
3 weeks, all told.
Well, then you've had a pretty good plan on the house, haven't you? Ever notice a tall, broad-shouldered guy in a dark suit casing the place?
Tall, broad-shouldered.
Pretty much like me.
Could anybody be pretty much like you, Sam?
No, you're right.
Sam, is there something wrong?
No.
Well, then don't stand there doing nothing. Do something.
Who, me? Amy fixed me a small dinner which had a strong turpentine taste to it, and then we mixed oils and painted and made fun. Next afternoon at the Hall of Records, I did a little spade work on Chester Swan. His application and permit to practice undertaking in the city of San Francisco were dated 1938. Details: unmarried, 52 years of age, graduated from mortician school in Ohio, listed 1 living relative, nephew, Theodore J. Swan, Toledo, Ohio. I was gathering the above information when I smelled whiskey over my shoulder, which is always good luck. It was Al Torrington, who was also in the private investigation racket in this city, and he was leaning, peering from my face to the card that I held in my hand.
He get over to you, too, sir?
Who got over to me, Al?
Him? That Finney with the tears. What's his name? My eyes ain't so good.
Swan, Al. Chester Swan, mortician.
Yeah, that's him, Sam. The same one exactly. Came to my office 2 weeks complaining about somebody following him. And he did nothing about it. Said I was too fat.
Oh, well, you are, Al. Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. And some other the boys said he was around there, too. Wanted a private eye, but he wanted a man who looked just right.
How right?
Obviously as right as you are, Sam, because it looks like he picked you. Yeah.
Yes, it did look like he picked me. And I thought that over, and I didn't like it. And I called my client at home to tell him he was fired, but he didn't give me a chance.
Oh, dear, I'm so glad you called, Mr. Spade. I really am.
I called for a reason, Mr. Swan. I'm resigning this case.
Oh, dear, Mr. Spade, you can't do that. You really can't.
I don't think you've been quite honest with me, Mr. Spade.
Oh, dear.
Tears will get you nowhere. I made a routine check on your reasons for hiring me, and they don't quite fit with the reasons you gave. They really just don't quite, Mr. Swan.
It's no game, Mr. Spade. Believe me. He's back tonight. Right now, he's standing beneath the lamppost outside my window, and I'm frightened to death. But please hurry over, Mr. Spade, and let's get this business straightened out. Please.
And stupid me, I went over. And I found that little white cottage on the hill looking grim and gaunt in the heavy fog. Amy's words about it being crushed with barrenness, full of brooding and death, came back to me. And Mr. Swan's frightened words about a mysterious man in dark clothes waiting beneath the streetlight also came back to me, particularly when I noted there was no streetlight near the house. However, there was a light somewhere in the rear of the house, and the front door was ajar. Oh, Mr. Swan! Mr. Swan, are you here? Oh, Mr. Swan, it's me, Sam Spade. Are you here?
Mr. Spade? Is that you? Are you out there?
Where are you? Things happened fast. I turned around to find the front door filled with a man in a dark suit. He had something in his hand, and it looked like a roll of cotton candy, but it felt different. It only started me against the wall, but it made me forget where my arm was.
Easy, Spade. Easy does it for you. Easy.
He let me down to the floor gently. I could still see the lights somewhere in the back of the house, and I could hear him talking way off.
Give me the needle.
I can't watch. I'm going upstairs.
The needle went somewhere in my left arm, but not before somebody pulled my coat off, and for no reason I could think of at the moment, also tried to pull my finger off, so I couldn't dwell on it. By that time, the stuff in my arm was going other places, and I was going with it, even though there was action all around me.
That's not a gun.
No, stay away from me. Get out of here.
Vaguely, somewhere, somebody was shooting Roman candles or having blowouts or playing bebop. I just didn't care at all. I just didn't. The first thing I saw was sunlight. It was the kind you see in a picture. It was a picture of a little white cottage with green shutters. You guessed it. I was in Amy's apartment where we made fudge together. I got to my feet somehow. I knew the best thing to do with me. There was a fire escape in a window. I got out there and I weaved against the wall.
He's gone. He's gone.
What do you mean he's gone? He couldn't have gotten away with that load he was carrying.
I don't know. He was unconscious when I left.
Well, don't get scared. We've got to do something. There might be trouble. Now, let's get going.
I didn't wait to find out what they were going to do. I made my way down the fire escape and started walking for the street, and that's when I noticed my shoes didn't fit me anymore. They weren't mine. Neither was the gray flannel suit with the label marked Kid Cheese. Neither was the blue shirt. And while I was at it, the ring on my finger engraved Emerson High 1936 wasn't mine either. My new belt buckle had a big letter T on it, which is not my initial. It really isn't. And I didn't have any use for the eyeglasses in my coat pocket either. You were out when I walked in the office, F, but you'd been there. There was a black crate done up in a white satin ribbon hanging on the door. The desk blotter was drenched with salt tears. And a newspaper folded back to page 13, and I'll sue the Chronicle on this if it's the last thing I do, gave me a 2-inch spread. Item, November 15th, 1950. 15? What happened to the 13th and the 14th? Detective perishes in Berkeley fire. I read it through once. And twice. It was my obituary. You are listening to the first in a new series of adventures involving radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. Later tonight on most NBC stations, Duffy's Tavern comes your way with another merry half-hour session, starring Ed Gardner as Archie the manager. There's a full serving of laughs garnished with chuckles and whipped up by Archie and his unpredictable friends, Miss Buffy, Clifton Finnegan, and Eddie the waiter. It's just one of the many great Friday evening entertainment features on NBC. It's Duffy's Tavern, your cue for better listening where the 3 chimes always mean good times. Make it a Friday evening habit to tune early and stay late at your favorite NBC station. And now back to Caper Over My Dead Body, tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. I left the crepe on the door and went out to buy a new desk blotter and some more newspapers. The Hobo News had the best story, which wasn't much. Samuel Spade, licensed private investigator, perished Wednesday night in a fire in a vacant house in Berkeley. His warm friends will feel regret at the passing of a man who was always kind to the poor. None of us ever asked Sam Spade for a handout without receiving a kind word and bon mot as he turned us down. This is nice, but I wanted more. Figured I was fairly safe to wander about unrecognized. My ill-fitting attire required from my unknown benefactor would be disguise enough when combined with my 2-day beard. Engine Company 16, Berkeley Division, had handled the fire, and half a block away was a grog shop called the Shamrocks. I waited for a fireman to come in.
Bartender, what kind of a place are you running now? I've been here 5 minutes already.
All right, shut up, Patty. You just arrived.
Well, it seems like 5 minutes. A wee bit more there, if you don't mind.
That's enough for you, Patty. You're still on duty.
I am not. I'm off now. The chief said I could be off. It is every day I receive such a shock to my system.
You received your shock 3 days ago.
And I'm still shaking, man. Oh, the sight of him was terrible. Burnt as black as the good saint's beard. All twisted and horrible in death.
He was probably dead drunk and didn't know what happened to him.
And were you there fighting the flames and finding him like me? Oh, it was terrible. Terrible.
It wasn't that bad, and you've had your limit.
And who says so?
I say so.
Oh, you do you? And who are you?
Your brother-in-law.
Right now.
Well, maybe I can spot you one, Patty.
I never drink with strangers. What's your name?
Old Doolin.
Well, you heard the man. Go ahead, pour. Cheers.
Yeah. Hey, fireman, you had a terrible experience 3 days ago.
That I did, Mr. O'Doulin. That I did indeed.
I've heard it a dozen times. I'll be at the other end of the
3 nights ago, Mr. O'Doulin, and we get a call to the house on Claremont is a fire. Well, see, when we get there, it's about all gone. Can't understand why it has been playing so fast.
Wood.
It was the beautiful fire of a man who lived in sin.
Huh?
A detective fellow. Sam Spade, he was identified as. Oui.
Oh, one moment, fireman. I've heard fine things about him.
Some of those uppity police fellows from the Division of Homicide said he was a nice fellow. But some of the boys at the fire station and myself, well, we got our own ideas about that.
What kind of ideas, Patty, me boy?
What kind of good can any man be accomplishing in an empty house late at night, I ask you, Mr. O'Doulin? Oh, he was done to a turn, he was, when I burst in the door with me axe. Saved hitting the trouble.
Charge.
Empty whiskey bombs scattered all about. Sin, O'Doulin, sin. He'd gone to sleep with a smoking cigarette that set the whole place off. Vice rampant.
From there, I went downtown to the telegraph office where I sent a wire to Toledo on a long chance. While I was waiting for an answer on a not-so-long chance, I slunk into the Bon Pond funeral parlor to pay my respects to the departed. I stood in the back of that dimly lit chapel and scanned the scene. 3 of the boys from Homicide were there, blowing their noses. 2 chorus girls I thought had long since forgotten me were there in black, deep being necks. My insurance man was there, looking awful worried. 1 Chronicle reporter with photographer, a shoeshine boy from our building, and the bailiff from the courthouse, just to mention a few I could make out. And you were there, Effie, up front near a closed casket. I made out a bower of flowers from robbery detail. It said, "Goodbye, Sam." Maxie from the city morgue was the only one who looked at ease.
All right. Does anyone wish to, you, miss?
Many called him Sam, but I called him Sam. Oh, miss, his last papers.
I was touched, Effie, and I would have stopped the whole thing then and there, but I had to find out who was in that casket. I reeled out the front door with tears in my eyes and slid around to the back door and into Chester Swan's private office. And there I made a phone call and got an answer to my telegram, which caused me to make another call to his bank. By that time, most of it was right in place. I searched through his desk, revealed nothing, and a safe standing in the corner the same. But then my answer walked right in the door.
Oh, Sam, darling, I was so worried when I found you'd left there. I saw you at the funeral, and I thought you'd be here.
And the guy was with you? Was he worried, too?
Oh, dear, and that was Dr. Jesslyn. Sam, you'd been out for 2 days, and I didn't... Oh, Sam, you're
You got away from it all. You've escaped, darling.
Yeah, they're burying me right now. I'm dead.
It's so wonderful, Sam.
Only one thing. Where do you fit? The caper. I was supposed to burn up in that fire, and what was left was supposed to look enough like Theodore J. Swan, class of 1936, Toledo, Ohio, to let beneficiary Chester Swan collect a nice pile of insurance money.
Sam, what are you talking about? Who is Theodore J.? What did you say?
Chester's only living relative. They're burying him right now. Somebody lost his caper. You want to tell me?
Darling, I was at the house the night of the fire, working on my foggy picture. You didn't see me when you went in, and later on you didn't come out. And I went over.
I was on the floor, and a man was bending over me.
He changed clothes with you, Sam, and I screamed, and he pulled out a gun, and I hit him with a hoe. And I drug you out of the hand.
And then what happened?
I put you in my car and took you home. I was going to phone the police, but I decided it was something you were working on, and I went back to the house, and it
was burning, and you knew the man you'd hit on the head was in there.
Believe me, Sam, I didn't know the house was going to burn down. I wouldn't kill anybody, Sam. I only wanted to...
You only wanted to help me, and you did right, Angel.
Oh, Sam.
That's all right. I'm your witness. You didn't start the fire.
Somebody really started it?
Chester. He thought it was me lying on the floor in there. The bank tells me he's about to go busted. He figured this one out with his nephew to scare up some insurance, though. I know about the same size.
Hold me, Sam. Hold me. It's been horrible. This is the kind of thing I was trying to paint. Now I'm smack dab up against it, and I'm sick. I'm stricken.
Easy.
Sam, you're really dead. Please, our way out, Sam. Just leave now. Let it go the way it is. They all think you're dead.
Oh, dear.
Huh?
But we know different, don't we, Mr. Spade?
He was holding a Navy Colt revolver in front of him with both hands. I couldn't make up my mind to rush him and count on his bad aim or stand still and be a perfect target while I tried to talk him out of it. Either way, he was a crazy man with a gun. He was getting ready to use it.
Sam, he's going to kill us.
Quiet, Aim.
Because my nephew was stupid enough to wear your watch and your suit when he exchanged clothes with you, I'm going to lose the Bon Ton.
And that puts you in quite a spot, doesn't it, Mr. Swan?
Until a moment ago, yes, but now. Mr. Spade, the newspapers all say you're dead. The death certificate says the same thing. All of your friends are following your casket and my nephew's corpse to the cemetery at this very moment. Everybody expects you to be dead, Mr. Spade.
Thanks to you, Mr. Swan.
But now, nobody'd miss you if I killed you.
I'd miss you, Sam.
But I'd have to kill you, too.
Oh.
Did you notice you're still wearing Theodore's clothes, even his ring? Why, Mr. Spade, I could kill you and put you in a fire somewhere and collect my insurance on Theodore now, couldn't I?
No. Why, that's a terrible thing to think.
Huh?
Oh, you're not reasoning properly, Chester. You really aren't. How would you explain to me? You just said you'd have to kill her. And what about the coroner's office? You know how they are.
But if I...
And don't forget the medical examiner's got something to say, too. Not to mention the fact that you'd have to really burn me up to cover up the bullet hole. And furthermore, Chester, when you shoot me, if you happen to hit a rib and chip off some bone, they'd know I was shot before, and then homicide would be in on it.
Oh, no, stop. Nothing works for me. I'm a failure.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Swan. Let it all out. We'll see you back. And he's still crying in his cell downtown. Period. End of report.
Oh, Sam, you were so brave. You actually stood there and talked that crazy man out of murdering you. You were wonderful.
True, Effie? Amy thinks so, too. She's going to do me in oils when they let her out of the pokey.
Amy's in jail? But that's it.
Oh, technical charge of an involuntary manslaughter. And Springer, as soon as the coroner's inquest is completed. Dear Amy.
Did she make good strikes, Sam?
Charge? Oh, that was the least of it.
Oh? What do you mean?
After the fight.
What the?
Penucci. Oh, boy. Say, go type that up, sweetheart, while I see if there's any mention of my miraculous resuscitation on the radio page. Go.
Oh.
There certainly is a mention of Sam Spade on the radio page for Friday. Sam Spade is one more in the list of great shows to join up in NBC's Parade of the Stars. Have you heard The Big Show? This Sunday, The Big Show comes your way once again on NBC. Listen to just a few of the star names who will be appearing this week. Bob Hope, Jimmy Durante, Perry Como, Jose Ferrer, Mindy Carson, Eddie Cantor, Meredith Wilson and his orchestra, and many, many more. And, of course, your MC once again will be the lady who invented the snappy retort, Tallulah Bankhead. Yes, it's The Big Show. It's big in music, big in drama, and big in comedy. Be sure to hear The Big Show Sunday.
my check.
Good. I will sign it and you will keep it always to remind you that I'm still here.
Oh, Sam.
Living, breathing, brave, and handsome. A paragon.
Sam, what will we do about the mail?
The mail? What mail? Where?
Oh, the letters and postcards and telegrams and all that came in when people thought you... Oh, way over here. Will you touch you?
Oh, there's been enough tears tonight, eh?
Oh, Sam, it's so good to have you back. Will you be the same as you always were?
Well, I'm going to try.
Because then you can't help but be, like they say, the greatest private detective of them all.
We'll see.
Good night.
Good night, sweetheart. The Adventures of Sam Spade are produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade was played by Stephen Dunn. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. Script for tonight's adventure by E. Jack Newman. Musical scoring by Lud Gluskin, conducted by Frank Worth. Join us again next week, same time, for another adventure with Sam Spade. Hear the magnificent Montague, then visit Duffy's Tavern on NBC.
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Detective agency.
Here's I, sweetheart.
Sam! Oh, he's very to death. His office. Glass all over the floor. Holes in the wall.
That was just business going on as usual during old occasions, Eph.
Well, what was it all about, Sam?
They tried, Effie, just tried to pluck my feathers and cook my goose.
On Thanksgiving, too. How could they?
Oh, they were a mean lot.
Are you all right?
Hale and hearty, every giblet in place and not a feather ruffled. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was heavenly. Mama had a turkey dinner, sage dressing, cranberry sauce, candy jams.
Hard cider?
A little.
Come clean, Effie?
Oh, I had 2 glasses. Everyone was there. Cousin Gertie, Dwight, Mrs. Flash. I was disappointed when you didn't show up, Sam. Did you have Thanksgiving dinner?
Sure.
Sam?
At the Helping Hand Rescue Mission, where there's plenty of free parking and never a cover charge. For further details, consult the report which I will presently be down to dictate on a pasty chronicle of foul play. The Terrified Turkey Caper.
For NBC, William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you the greatest private detective of them all in The Adventures of Sam Spade.
Sam Spade!
Oh, you were waiting for me.
Having Thanksgiving dinner at a rescue mission, and Mama cooked it perfectly wonderful.
Thank your mother for me, Aunt. Tell her I'll be over to break wishbones with her tonight. And to atone for my social indifferences, here's a little something I brought for you.
Oh, Sam! You shouldn't have. It's beautiful. What is it?
A blunderbuss.
A blunder what?
Bus, as in step to the rear of.
Oh. Well, what does it do?
Shoots, Seth. It's a gun. Our founding fathers used it in foraging for feathered food when they settled this abundant continent.
And it's mine.
To do with what you will.
Where did you get it?
Pencil boy?
With me. Who gave it to
Pad
me?
open?
Oh, yes, but I don't know.
Knees crossed?
Did you mean the founding fathers?
Don't peek. Date November 24th, 1950. To Detective Lieutenant I.C. Kelsey, Homicide Detail, San Francisco Police. From Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, Turkey. Dear Kelsey, this was a big week for the cranberry pickers, the butchers, the sage makers, and the stomach pill people. But for private detectives, it was strictly from hunger. My office door opened only twice a day, once to let me in and once to let me out. And when on Wednesday I heard a knock on the door, I went into a paroxysm of delight. Come in! Come in! Come in! Entrez-vous! Entrez-vous! Arise! When I ran out of languages, I got up from behind the desk, walked to the door, and opened it. Standing there was a small, middle-aged man with a pink, bald head. His blue serge suit needed pressing, and he was nervously fingering a strawberry birthmark under his left ear.
Mr. Samuel Spade?
I am.
May I?
May I have a moment?
You may have several, but not in the corridor. It's not in my lease.
Oh, I'll come in.
Good. Well?
Well, you'll have to excuse me, Mr. Spade. I've had so few dealings with private detectives. I find it hard to begin. Oh, perhaps I shouldn't have come at all. Goodbye.
No, wait a minute. Maybe I can help you.
Well, you see, Oh, what's the use? You won't believe me. Nobody does. I'd really better...
Oh, now, wait. I'll believe you. All I ask is a chance. Now, let's start with your name.
Oh, what, my name?
Yes.
Yes, my name. To begin with, you won't believe that. Oh, but I can verify it. Yes, I can. It's on the registration book of the old Colony Hotel, in the 1943 phone book, and on my old driver's license.
Well, I'll have to know it before I can verify it.
Yes, of course you will. It's Tom.
Well, now that's not so hard to believe.
Oh, you haven't heard the rest of it. It's Tom Turkey. Well, you see, I told you wouldn't believe it. I'd better go.
No, now, let me be the first to believe you. Now, Mr. Tom, what's your problem?
Oh, dear, that's even harder to explain.
Well, now that I don't believe. But take a breath and jump into it.
Yes. My name is Tom Turkey, and they're going to kill me for Thanksgiving.
Well, I had asked for it, and I had gotten it. And I sat back wondering who had gone to all the trouble to play this funny joke on me. I was looking at my hand to see if there was any itching powder on it where he'd shaken it when my phone rang. I lifted the receiver, swung around on my swivel, and gazed out onto the street. It was Al Cuccio calling, a private eye whose reputation was shadier than a mushroom cellar.
Hi, Spady.
Al.
Haven't seen much of you lately, Spady. You have to get together.
Yeah, well, so long.
Wait, I'll tell you why I called. I've had a pest in my office, keeps coming back. Thinks he's a turkey somebody wants to dress. I brushed him, but your name came up, and I just wanted to warn you. He might be in to see you.
I'm confused, Al. I never knew you to turn your back on a buck.
Oh, I don't want any of this one. His buttons are loose. My advice to you is to bounce him.
Well, we've never traded advice before, Cuccio. Why now?
Well, after all, we're in the same racket. If we can't help each other...
Oh, sure, Al, sure. I appreciate it.
Give me a ring. We've got to get together sometime.
Yeah, when I get a free night, we'll Jimmy parking meter.
Yeah, Huh? Oh, yeah. Parking meters. See you later, Spady.
I turned back to the desk, and what I saw in front of me was an empty chair. Tom Turkey had taken wing. I got up and walked to the window, and a minute later, I saw him come out of the building downstairs and start to cross the street. And then I saw something else. A large 4-ton truck was tearing down the street, picking up speed. Instinctively, I shouted a warning, and at the last second, Tom Turkey scrambled from in front of the truck and disappeared into the alleyway. The truck roared up the street, and on its side was printed in gold letters, "Haynes, you drive it." There was nothing to say it wasn't coincidence, this near mishap, but somehow I found myself intrigued and wanting to hear more of the little guy's story. He said the old Colony Hotel. On the way, I stopped at the library, found an old 1943 phone book, and looked. He was listed. Thomas Turkey, it said. Out of curiosity, I rang the number.
Hello?
I wonder if you can help me. I'm inquiring about a Mr. Turkey.
Turkey. This ain't his number no more.
I know.
Haven't had any calls from him for years. Call him out.
Yeah, I know.
I knew a woman named Rabbit once. Mrs. Rabbit.
About Turkey, could you remember what he looked like?
I don't. Hey, Manny, what Turkey look like?
Huh? Oh.
Yeah. Small man, around 50. Nice fellow, Manny says.
Strawberry under his left ear?
Strawberry under his left ear, Manny? Yeah, strawberry under his left ear.
Well, thank you, madam, for your information, and thanks to Manny.
Well, you're welcome, but I don't know what you're going to do with it. Old man Turkey's dead. Been dead for years.
Curiouser and curiouser, I thought. They had described the man who came to my office 20 minutes ago, and now he'd been dead for years. I continued on to the old Colony Hotel. Room, 75 cents, it said. Tom's room is 114.
Who is it?
Sam Spade.
Oh, come in, Mr. Spade. I'm sorry I ran away. I didn't think you really believed me.
Well, I'm not sure I do yet. Tell me, was that truck an accident?
Oh, I don't think so, no. They made 3 attempts before to kill me. Somebody tried to push me in front of a train, and then A wheelchair full of cement dropped off a building and just missed me, and then I was shot at.
So who are they and why would they want to kill you?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Look, let's tack.
Tack?
Tack. I dialed your old phone number, and the people who answered said you're dead.
Oh, a lot of people think I'm dead.
Yeah. Look, do you still want me to work for you?
Oh, yes, please.
Well, you'll have to tell me more then. I can't...
I guess I'd better tell you everything. Oh, it's hard to talk about, Mr. Spade. It's not easy to admit to someone you've been a foolish man. You see, I just turned 50. I was quite tired of the life I'd led. Proper, dull, and unfruitful, except in money. My business was worrying, and so was my wife, Henrietta.
This has a traditional ring.
Anyway, to make it short, I decided to run away. One day I drove to work. I parked my car in the middle of the Bay Bridge where the suicide note left it and disappeared.
Where did you go?
Oh, all over the world. I took a job on a boat. I did. On a boat. And then I settled in Sao Paulo, Brazil, under another name.
Now you're back. Why?
Well, maybe I got lonely. Maybe I got wiser. Maybe I felt I paid enough for my mistakes. Let's just say I'm back. I want to be with Henrietta.
Have you seen her?
I checked into this hotel and wrote her a letter saying I wasn't dead. I was back in San Francisco, and I wanted to come back to her if she still would have me. But I told her I wouldn't bother her unless she wanted to see me, that she could contact me here. That was a week ago.
And you haven't heard from her?
No, and almost right away these attempts on my life began.
I see. All right, what's her address?
3118 Monroe. Oh, she's taken her maiden name again. Black. Henrietta Black.
Oh, come on, let's go.
No, I'm not going to see her until she asks me.
Well, look, you're going to my apartment. Nobody will bother you there.
And you're going to see Henrietta?
That's right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Spade. You do believe me. I think I'm really ready to face the world again now.
I deposited Tom in my apartment with instructions to open the door for no one but me, and then I proceeded to 3118 Monroe in the high-rent district. I was ushered through a comely portico by a Japanese maid who told me to wait in a study heavy with mahogany. In a moment, two people came in. The woman wore a black dress, silver pendant, flat shoes, and a complexion the color of apple meat. She was Miss Henrietta Black and/or Mrs. Tom Turkey. The man turned out to be Leander Luce, the lady's attorney, business manager, and canasta partner.
You say you have something important to discuss with me, Mr. Spade?
I do.
I hope you don't mind my asking Mr. Luce to be here.
Not at all.
Well,
Mrs. Turkey, I just talked to your husband, Tom.
Mr. Spade, if you please.
I say something?
a rather feeble attempt at comedy, Mr. Spade.
Well, I wasn't trying for a laugh. You are Mrs. Turkey, aren't you?
I was.
You undoubtedly still are.
I'd expected to hear another one of these cruel jokes about my name.
At Thanksgiving time, Mr. Spade, someone was always going to stuff Tom, baste him, dress him, slice him.
This season, they're going to kill him.
They are not going to kill him. He is already dead.
He's not dead, Mrs. Turkey, and you should not.
I should.
Yes, he sent you a letter saying he was back in San Francisco and wanted to see you.
Mr. Spade, this has gone absolutely far enough.
Not quite. What about the letter?
I know of no such letter.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. I'm sorry I bothered you.
Oh, you used bad judgment in coming in the first place.
Yes, maybe you're right. There was falsehood in this someplace, Lieutenant, and it stuck out like a fat girl in slacks. The only thing to do was to go back to my apartment, get Tom Turkey, and confront Mrs. T with her husband in the flesh. But when I got back to my apartment building, I spotted in rapid succession, 1, an ambulance, 2, a police car, and upstairs, outside my half-opened apartment door, I spotted 3, you.
I've been expecting it.
What's going on, Kelsey?
Yes, serious, Sam, serious.
Who's that bald-headed man moving around the apartment?
That's McCracken, the new medical examiner. Checking a stiff on your rug.
I stepped around you, Lieutenant, and pushed the door all the way open. I saw McCracken kneeling over the body and a couple of men from homicide taking photos. I moved into the room feeling nothing good. A little guy had given me a job, and while I was yakking with his wife, somebody got to him. And in my apartment, where I'd stashed him. McCracken stood up, and I looked down at the body. Then I looked again. Who I saw wasn't Tom Turkey at all. It was the late private eye, Al Kuchel. You are listening to the weekly adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. You Friday fans of Sam Spade, there's mystery on Saturday evening, too, on NBC. Tomorrow, the man called X sets out on another mission of danger and intrigue in some far-off corner of the earth. Herbert Marshall stars as the man called X, a man without a name who travels the world over protecting his country's interests. He lives by his wits, and his business is danger. He's the man called X, tomorrow over most NBC stations. For top Sunday listening, it's another broadcast of The Big Show on NBC. This Sunday, your stars include Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Mindy Carson, Ed Archie Gardner, Ed Wynn, and many, many more. And Tallulah is your MC as usual. This Sunday, it's The Big Show on NBC. And now back to the terrified turkey caper, tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. While the men from Homicide were taking pictures, etc., you and I, Lieutenant, were going round and round on the question, if I didn't kill the man found in my room, who did? And you were sufficiently impressed with my insult, Kelsey, not to hold me for the murder. We bowed to each other, and I left. Thinking back to the truck that had almost run Turkey down, I went to the Haynes U Drive truck rental garage.
What do you want?
I'm a detective. Could you give me a list of names for everybody who rented a truck from you during the past few days?
Sure.
He handed me a big registration book, and I read every name for the past week. For the first 5 days, they all seemed to be nice, normal, abnormal names. And then, under the rentals for the day before, was the name of John Smith. John had given his address as 7200 Kearney. And I happen to know that Kearney only goes up to 2000. The dispatcher said that Smith had returned the truck about 3 hours before, and he remembered him as an ugly, heavy-set, and rough-voiced character who looked like an ex-longshoreman. They had already washed the truck, so the fingerprints were all out up.
Well, it's Mr. Spade again.
Look, I'd like to speak with Miss Black, if you don't mind.
Come in. Come in.
Thank you.
This way, into the den.
Right.
Well, I was sure you'd look into this affair a little more and realize that it was just a blind alley, a hoax of some kind.
Where's Miss Black?
Oh, she's upstairs lying down. The whole affair has upset her, and she asked not to be disturbed. I think the wisest course of action for you, Mr. Spade, is just to let the matter drop.
You can't let a murder just drop, Mr. Lewis. The police wouldn't hear of it.
Huh? Murder? Who?
An unfrocked private detective named Al Cuccio.
Well, what does this have to do with Henrietta Black?
Al Cuccio called me earlier today and said that Tom Turkey was a crackpot, a little man with delusions. He tried to top me off taking his case.
He sounds like a perceiving man.
Well, he didn't perceive ending up in my apartment with a bullet in his head.
Oh, that's too bad, but I still
I left Tom Turkey in my apartment for safekeeping, and when I returned, he was gone and Cuccio was dead.
Well, that explains itself, obviously. This detective knew that Tom Turkey was a phony, and Turkey killed him.
It can figure that way, and a number of other ways.
Mr. Spade, I have no desire to sit here trading subtleties with you. As yet, no one has demonstrated that the real Tom Turkey actually exists, alive. Now, until you do have something more concrete and less mythological, Miss Black requests that you do not come around opening up old wounds.
You've made an eloquent point. Just tell me one thing.
If I can.
When did Tom Turkey disappear? I mean, what month, what day?
It was, 1943, November. But I'm not sure of the exact day. I think it was in the 3rd week.
Could it have been on Thanksgiving?
Very possibly. Very possibly.
I returned thoughtfully to my office and did a little rapid mental arithmetic and came up with the number 7. From November 23rd, 1943 to November 23rd, 1950 was 7 years to the day. And I pondered this. What did the number 7 mean to the life or death of Tom Turkey? I had just hit upon the answer and was crying Eureka when my office door opened, unlocked, and a visitor came in unannounced. He was ugly, heavy-set, and looked like an ex-longshoreman. I waited to see if the voice checked.
You, Spade?
Who shall I say is calling?
Captain John Smith. And here's my calling card.
The first bullet grazed my shoulder and tore the padding out of my coat. The second bullet hit the water cooler and it crashed over, water and all on top of me. Where the third bullet hit, I wasn't sure at the time because darkness came rushing through my head like a freight train. When I opened my eyes again, I expected to see St. Peter checking my ID card. But all I saw were the dust balls under my desk and a fly bathing himself in a pool of water spreading slowly over the floor. There was blood on my hand, but it came from a glass cut. I was in shambles, but alive. Captain John Smith had shoved off, obviously thinking his bullets had done their work.
Homicide, Lieutenant Kelsey.
Sam, Kelsey, have you found anything more about Pond Turkey?
Nothing, Sam. Frankly, I'm beginning to wonder if there is such a guy.
Well, clever, Kelsey. A few minutes ago, a gorilla by the name, believe it or not, of Captain John Smith just tried to kill me in my office.
Oh, go on, Sam. I find it hard to think.
You find it hard to think, period.
Really, Sam? Did you get him?
No, but my office is a wreck, and there's a hole blasted in my wall big enough to put a basketball in.
Well, what did he use, a bazooka?
I figured dum-dum bullets.
Dum-dum? Well, that's illegal, ain't it?
Kelsey, doesn't it strike you as significant that every attempt on Turkey's life has been vicious, as if someone not only wanted to kill him, but also mutilate him?
Yeah, now that you mention it. Somebody probably wanted to make identification difficult.
Even dead, they didn't want anybody to know who he was. Now, listen carefully, Kelsey. This is real deep. Tom Turkey disappeared on Thanksgiving of 1943. A person has to be missing 7 years before he can be legally dead and his insurance collected. Now, if someone had Turkey insured, they could collect the day after this Thanksgiving, if Turkey didn't show up before.
You mean somebody's trying to kill him for the insurance?
I would say so, Kelsey. I would say so. Now, hurry up and find him. When I put down the phone, I heard a heavy pounding. For a minute, I thought it was in my head, until I turned to face the door, and standing there was a small pilgrim with bandy legs in black stockings, pantaloons, white-collared coat, and stovepipe hat.
Hallelujah!
He wore silver buckles, and what he was pounding on the floor was an 18th century blunderbuss.
Hallelujah! Have I got the right place?
Oh, offhand, I'd say so. If you're looking for Captain John Smith, he just left. Pocahontas is expected any minute.
Now, don't you go trying to confuse me. I'm too thirsty.
What's on your mind?
Well, I'm looking for a fellow named Dan, Oh, I'm so thirsty, I forgot.
Sam Spade?
Yeah, that's it. There. Oh, you broke your water bottle, huh?
Yeah.
Good. That stuff's poison anyway. Hallelujah. Hey, say, do you happen to have any hard cider around?
Fresh out.
Oh. And I'm kind of thirsty, you know. Any type of corn squeezing?
Here, try this, Dad.
Yeah.
Good, huh?
Oh.
You like that, huh? Oh.
Pardon me. But before we go, do you suppose we could have a little something for the road? It's bitter cold.
I gave him a little, but not too much, because I didn't want him to lose his way. He walked me right down Market Street so he could look in the liquor store windows. He said it gave him a comfortable feeling to know there was so much good in the world. And then we turned right a few blocks until we came to the Helping Hand Mission. Across its gray front, a banner promised special holiday food and comfort to the unfortunate. And on the street in front of it, there was a brass band sending out signals to the fraternity that any minute the great feast of Thanksgiving would begin. The band members and other volunteer workers were all dressed as pilgrims, with quaint conceit. My pilgrim led me to a dark corner of the clubroom, and sitting there unhappily was none other than Tom Turkey.
Hello, Mr. Spade.
Oh, hello, Tom. What happened to my apartment? Why did you run away?
Well, I was afraid. You told me not to answer the door until you came back. Well, somebody knocked on the door and said it was you, so I opened it, and 2 men came in.
Tell me, was one of them Al Kuchel?
Yes, the detective. The other man was a big, ugly-looking fellow, and when they saw I was alone, they started arguing.
About what?
Well, the detective said that now that he brought the ugly man there, he wanted his money.
Yeah?
The ugly man pulled a gun, and they started to fight. Oh, dear, I slipped out the door, and when I was halfway downstairs, I heard a shot and kept on running.
Well, Al Kuchel is dead.
Oh, my. I thought so. This was the only place I could think of to hide. Oh, when Henrietta finds out I've been mixed up in a murder, she'll never take me back.
Henrietta. Hey, tell me, did your wife ever have any insurance on you?
Oh, before I ran away, she did. A $50,000 policy, but, that would have lapsed by now.
Maybe. Did it have a suicide clause in it?
A suicide?
Yeah.
Well, no. No, it didn't. I remember.
Yeah, you'd like to talk to Henrietta, wouldn't you? All right, here's her phone number. Call her up and tell her where you are.
Oh, I don't think I could. I'm too frightened.
You've got to do something to help yourself. If you don't, by midnight, you might be a cold turkey. Oh. I'm sorry, it just slipped out.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, he went and made the call. When he returned, he said that a man had answered who said Henrietta would come down and pick Tom up. He didn't want to wait, but I sat on him. The pilgrim brought us a dish of turkey dinner, saying he couldn't stand food himself, and we munched a spell. In a little while, a limousine pulled up in front of the mission with someone in back whom I couldn't see. A chauffeur stepped out and came in inquiring for Tom Turkey. It was Captain John Smith himself. When he saw me, a look of shocked surprise came over his unhandsome face. Hoping to catch him off balance, I drove at him. It was the liveliest thing that has happened at the Helping Hand Mission in years, and we had a good house, too. Money was even changing hands. When I heard the odds starting to go against me, I realized I'd better come up with something.
Use this, partner.
And I did. The bandy-legged pilgrim shoved his blunderbuss right in my hand. And I swung. Smith dropped like pheasant on the wing. I looked up. The passenger from the limousine was just coming in.
What's the meaning of this?
It means, Leander Luce, that you're not going to carve Tom Turkey up for your Thanksgiving insurance policy.
Hallelujah. Drumstick, anyone?
Period. End of report.
Sam, I don't understand.
Well, it's as plain as the cranberry stain on your dress, sir. Luce, as Henrietta's business manager, had her power of attorney. And secretly, he kept making the payments on Tom Turkey's insurance policy.
Oh, and then he'd collect for Henrietta and keep the money himself.
Effie, sometimes your lightning mind frightens me. Now, go type that up. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. There's fun and laughs with the chimes later tonight when Ed Gardner stars in Duffy's Tavern. As usual, Duffy won't be there, but Archie the manager will definitely be on hand to serve his blue plate special of grilled English language. This Sunday, the big show comes your way again. Tallulah will be your hostess, and the stars include Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Ed Wynn, Meredith Wilson, and many, many more. It's the big show, Sunday on NBC.
Al Crusoe and tried to kill you. Was his name really Captain John Smith?
No, Effie. Could we have a Thanksgiving caper without a Captain John Smith? It wouldn't be right.
It was a coincidence, wasn't it?
Well, if you promise not to tell anyone.
Oh.
His real name was Michael Giuseppe Yablonsky Smith. I called him John for short.
You're so kind.
Are we going over to your mother's for cold turkey snacks?
Well, all right, but I don't think there'll be much left.
Oh?
You see, my cousin Judy couldn't find a little boy. And Mother phoned and said they just found him. He was inside the turkey, eating his way out.
Effie, is there no way to curb that tongue of yours?
There's one way.
Well, come here.
Oh. Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart. The Adventures of Sam Spade are produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade was played by Stephen Dunn. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. Script for tonight's adventure by Larry Roman and John Michael Hayes. Musical scoring by Lud Gluskin, conducted by Robert Armbruster. Join us again next week, same time, for another adventure with Sam Spade. Hear the magnificent Montague, then visit Duffy's Tavern on NBC.
the National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sam Spade Detective Agency?
Me, sweetheart.
Sam, would you mind telling me where you are?
Not at all, Effie, not at all. Let's see. I'm at the Ilrig Dana Rab Etile Seagrod.
I don't understand it, Sam, but I think I caught the word grog.
Oh, you're shrewd, Effie. You see, I'm on the inside, and the lettering is printed on the outside. Now, if you'll wait, I'll go outside and read it the right way, and then come inside and...
Never mind, I've already guessed. You're at George's Elite Bar and Grill.
Trapped.
Sam, answer me. You promised me you wouldn't.
I promised? Me?
You did, Sam. You promised faithfully to stay away from bars. You know how hard television is on your eyes. Have you got your glasses?
One in each hand. Fill them up, George.
Oh, Sam, I heard that. What will people think?
They'll never know, Effie. I always drink here under another name.
Oh.
Just a little of the hair of the dog that bit me, Effie. But don't worry about me. Although it's true I have been dogging it and have been hounded from tree to tree, I am frisky as ever and will be in to unleash my canine chronicle, namely the dog bed caper, or he who lies down with dogs gets up with murder, or, condensed for easy reading,
For NBC, William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you the greatest private detective of them all in The Adventures of Sam Spade. Effie?
Here I am, Sam.
Here I am, Sam. Effie, did you ever write poetry in school?
Well, I was known as Emily Dickinson of Central High.
I thought you had a touch of internal rhyme scheme there.
I doodled a little poem about you today.
Really? Well, redoodle.
There was a detective named Spade with oodles of brains in his head.
Clever, clever.
But when he took up drinking, he forgot about thinking.
Now give me the punchline.
And Effie has stayed quite unpaid.
Well, a little rough, but cute.
Did you get the idea, Sam?
Never could make any sense out of poetry. Ready?
It's getting close to Christmas, Sam, and
Pencil point?
I've used my last pencil, and I don't really have enough money to buy any...
Please, Effie, I have no head for figures.
All right, I give up.
From Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, the dog bed caper.
Oh, Sam, I hope this is going to be all about dogs. I belong to the tail waggers, you know.
Yeah.
And I've read all the books by Jack London.
Yeah.
I just think...
Down, Effie. Strangely enough, you will not meet a single dog in this story. Actually, this narrative has little indeed to do with our four-footed friends or their beds. And I'd change the title now, except that it's already gone out for publicity. Dear Dundee, it all started with a phone call to my secretary, Miss Effie Perrine, a doll, requesting my inimitable services at the investment counseling firm of Cameron Incorporated. Clearing everything off my desk, 2 shoes with feet in them, my own, I went over. The firm of Cameron Incorporated was obviously not for the pushcart set. It was plush, ankle-deep rugs, imported drapes, and the receptionist. She had a plushness all of her own. I said hello in my plushiest voice, and she liked it. She said so.
Oh, I like the way you said that. Say it again.
Life is too short to go back even for a moment. The past is a dead thing, the present dying, only the future alive and vibrant. However, hello.
Is there something?
There is. Could I ask a question?
Why not?
I will rephrase the question. What time do you stop working this evening?
Oh, I'm sick.
Care to have...
Why not?
There's a little bar around the corner, okay?
Why not?
Why not, indeed? Bring your own money? Well, come anyway. Your name?
Celeste.
Mine's Sam Spade. Who's Mr. Briggs? He called.
Major Briggs? Why, he's our chief accountant.
I just happened to have my door open. Did I hear someone inquiring about me?
This is Mr. Spade, Major Briggs.
How do you do, Major?
It's a pleasure to meet you in person, Mr. Spade. I'm the man who called you, you know.
I'm grateful, sir. Now, what is it I can do for you and Mr. Cameron?
Oh, it's not for me that I called. I haven't a worry in the world, and it's Miss Cameron.
Oh.
Old Cameron's been dead for many years now.
I see.
Whatever she wants, Mr. Spade, do a good job. We are all counting on you. Will you please announce Mr. Spade, Miss Roberts?
Certainly, Major.
If you'd excuse me.
Nice to have met you, Major.
Miss Cameron?
Yes?
Miss Spade's here.
Send him in, please.
Go on, Sam. Have fun.
Think I might?
Why not?
That girl had the most beautiful double entendre in town. Well, to get on, Adela Cameron was a career woman, around 29, although the tailored suit made fine detective work difficult. No makeup, severe hairdo, and in spite of all this, chic. In fact, as we shook hands in a most businesslike manner, I had the feeling that something warm might well spring up between us. Something like a warm mutual dislike, maybe. But something.
Most men simply cannot be told anything in confidence. They gossip.
That's a switch.
I don't appreciate your humor, Mr. Spade.
I accept your apology.
I will tolerate you because of your reputation.
All right.
I'm going to give you a very difficult job to do.
Miss Cameron.
What is it, Major?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Courtney Pierce is on the phone.
Mr. Spade, this is Major Briggs, our chief accountant.
We've already met.
Mr. Spade. Now, Adela, Pierce wants us to unload his short-term governments and buy American cattle. He's dividend crazy. AMCAT's declaring one in January, and he wants it.
Well, let him do it.
Well, I just want to protect your interests. You know what will happen to AMCAT after February. They'll drop 10 points, and he'll blame us. I went through this with your father when you and Greg were...
That's right, Major. Well, tell him we advise against it. But if he persists, ask him for a release in writing.
That's what I thought you'd do. That's the way your father would have handled it. I just want to protect your interests, my dear, that's all.
I know.
I just want to protect your interests.
Well, don't worry about it. You know, we're not children anymore.
All right, my dear.
Where were we?
Oh, you were giving me a difficult job.
Oh, yes. Here is the business address of Mr. I.J. Barco. He's a wealthy manufacturer, a client of ours. I want you to find out everything about him, especially anything unsavory.
Sorry, I don't do divorce or blackmail cases.
Mr. Spade, this is not a divorce investigation.
All right, what is it then?
Why do we want a client shadowed, I believe is the expression?
That's it.
Because we believe he is investing money through us for some racketeers. If that were true, we would, of course, have to drop him. But we don't want to lose his business just on suspicion.
I see.
Find out anything you can about him. I'll give you $50 a day in expenses, 1 week guarantee. Will you consider the job?
I have considered and taken the job. By the time I'd reached the door, she had already forgotten me and was hard at work on some papers. Outside, I planned to dally a few moments in idle chit-chat with Celeste. But before I had the chance, I was accosted by a husky young chap whom I'm afraid was a Princeton man.
What were you talking about in there, Spade?
Oh, you have the advantage, sir. Who are you?
Gregory Cameron. Now, come on. What was Adela telling you?
Well, if you step to one side, you can walk around me and ask her.
Look, don't pull that cagey private detective routine on me. I pack a little weight myself.
Well, pack it somewhere else, Sonny.
I asked you a question. I expect an answer.
There's your answer. Any more questions? He didn't feel much like talking then, and I was so irritated I walked out without saying goodbye to Celeste. When I reached the street, the white-haired old gentleman, Major Briggs, hurried out behind me.
Mr. Spade, please don't think too badly of that boy. I've known him from the cradle. He's in a difficult emotional state at the moment.
Sure. As far as I'm concerned, Major, it never happened.
You're a kind man, Mr. Spade. I could tell that when I first saw you. You're just the sort of man Miss Cameron needs.
Well, I hadn't looked at it that way.
If you require anything, don't hesitate to ask me. I've been with this company 40 years before those two children in there were born. And I know how difficult life can be at times. I just want things to go well for them.
I'll do my little part, Major.
Bless you, son. Bless you.
I started to work. The card Adela Cameron had given me revealed that my quarry, Mr. I.J. Barco, was of all things a manufacturer of dog beds. I sat down on a hydrant to think this over and then followed the scent of horse meat on over to his factory on South Dolores. It was built in the shape of a large doghouse, and outside stood a billboard with the message, "A survey of independent dog tracks, kennels, and canine corps proves that dogs choose Barco beds 2-1. I had to get a look at Barco himself, and so ruffling up the hair on the back of my neck, I trotted into the building, sniffing and wagging my tail in a very friendly manner. It was very easy to see Mr. Barco after I lied a little about my connection.
What was that name again?
Senor Don Jose Martinez Sada Morales, but you may call me Sam.
And you represent a group of retail outlets in South America.
Oh, I do indeed. We have our eye on your dog beds, Mr. Barco.
Well, now, let's take a look at our catalog here. Now, say you had a great day and you'd want something regal like this Louis XIV. Ever see a more beautiful bed?
Well, not lately, but Mr. Barco...
Down, boy, down. Now, here's a number that's very big this season with English Bulldogs, a Sheraton, natural wood finish. Lovely, huh?
Arriba.
And, of course, if it's an Irish Terrier, here's a purely gag present for his sense of humor.
A Murphy bed.
Get it, Sam? Irish Terrier?
See.
Well, of course, we wouldn't ask a dog to sleep in a Murphy
Oh,
bed.
Mr. Barco, I'm afraid I don't see anything here I like.
What's this? Do I understand you, sir? You are refusing this small speck of comfort to the one unselfish friend that man can have in this selfish world?
Well, I'm not refusing anything. I just don't
The
happen to...
unselfish friend who, if fortune drives you forth an outcast into the world, homeless, without no higher privilege than to be at your side to guard against danger,
Mr. Barker...
faithful unto death, there by your graveside will be found the noble dog,
My
his
graveside?
head between his paws, his eyes sad but watchful, faithful...
We shook paws, and I felt his nose to be sure it was cold. It was, and I left. I rented a car and took up a station outside the Barco factory. About 4 o'clock, he hurried out, jumped into a long, low vehicle shaped like a dachshund, and mushed off. I followed. An hour later, I was phoning my first report to Adela Cameron's secretary, Celeste.
You went to the city hall. What did he do there, Mr. Spade?
License bureau, marriage, not dog.
Really? Where'd he go then?
Grocery store, where he bought 1 bottle of olives, 1 bottle of vermouth, and 1 bottle gin. I wonder what he's going to make. What recipe is that? Well, now he's in an apartment house on Post Street, just across from the drugstore I'm in, and judging from the groceries, intends to stay a while. He has laid in provisions.
Uh-huh. Well, I guess that's all we wanted to know.
What?
Miss Cameron just told me to call you off the case. You'll still get your guarantee, though. Major Briggs will send you a check.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Sam orders his orders.
All right, all right. What about tonight?
I'm afraid not. Some other time.
You mean it's all over? The half-daring, half-shy kisses on the Oakland ferry? The warm, passionate spring nights at Fisherman's Wharf eating abalone? Hello? Well... Puzzled, as who wouldn't be, I walked slowly back to my car. But before I had a chance to get in, I saw I.J. Barco hurry out of his apartment house. But he didn't enter his car. He came right for me.
Spade! Just a minute, Spade.
So sorry, my name is Don Jose Martinez Sada Morales yet.
Don't kid me, Spade. I'm not as stupid as I acted today. Look, I know why Adela Cameron is following me, and you don't. And you'll never find out, any more than the other 4 detectives did.
I was the 5th choice? What? I shall speak with my agent about this.
I'm going to tell her in person that this foolishness has to stop. If it doesn't, she'll live to regret it. One more thing. I presume you're going to follow me. Well, I'm turning right on Market and heading out to 1217 Ridgewood Place. You shouldn't have any trouble.
And with that, he spun on one heel and trotted to his car. He took off, but when I went to my car, it wouldn't turn over. And when I lifted the hood, I found out why. All my spark plugs were gone. I picked up a new set at a service station, looked up Adela Cameron's address in the phone book. It was 1217 Ridgewood Place. And a good half hour later, I got there. Barco's car was out in front. No one answered the door, but it was open. Adela Cameron was a crumpled heap on the living room sofa.
Oh, Sam. Sam, help me, please.
All right, Miss Cameron. Let me look at you. You hurt?
No, I'm all right. It's him.
Where?
The bar.
I hurried into the bar and was met with a strong odor of scotch. A bottle of it had been broken, and holding the neck of the bottle in one hand was I.J. Barco. He was on the floor, his hand slowly opened. The glass rolled out, and he died. You are listening to the weekly adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. Act 2 of tonight's Sam Spade in just a moment. Meanwhile, here's news of other goings-on on NBC. There's no doubt about it, it's the big show. Not just any big show, but the big show. Brought to you every Sunday night over most of these NBC stations. An hour and a half of the very best in comedy, music, and drama. Your stars this Sunday on the big show include Fred Allen, Margaret Truman, Douglas Fairbanks, Danny Thomas, Mindy Carson, and many more. All presided over by the glamorous Tallulah. No wonder it's the big show.
Saturday night on NBC means mystery with the man called X, a man without a name who travels the world over on missions of intrigue and peril. Herbert Marshall stars as the man called X tomorrow and every Saturday evening on NBC. And now back to the Dog Bed Caper, tonight's adventure with Sam Spade.
It took 3 bullets in the chest to finish off I.J. Barco. He'd apparently been standing there pouring a drink. Barco broke the bottle as he fell. I couldn't find any other signs of violence or any gun, so I went back to Adela Cameron. She was beginning to calm down.
I don't know who did it. I just don't know.
Well, it couldn't have happened more than a minute ago, and you were in the house, weren't you?
No, after I left my office, I stopped in the store for some things, then came home. When I was driving down Ridgewood, I heard some sound.
And you thought they were a car backfiring.
How did you know?
I've heard this script before.
Don't you dare accuse me of killing that man.
It's not what I think that counts, but what the police accuse you of.
Sam, I heard those sounds. I came in the house when I went into the bar.
You didn't notice Barco's car out in front?
Oh, I suppose I did. I don't know. I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
Who are you calling?
Homicide.
Sam, wait a minute. Listen, please.
Wait for what?
I want to tell you some things.
All right. Go on. I kind of get the feeling I was hired to put the finger on the dog's best friend.
That's not the way it was. The last thing in the world I wanted was for him to be killed. Oh, murdered, I mean.
All right, what did you want?
I'll tell you the truth. Why I really had you watching Barco.
I'd be curious.
We handled his investment account. My brother Gregory...
We ran into each other.
I heard. Well, Greg took $150,000 of Barco's money and invested it, without my knowledge, in a television company.
I hear that medium's making money.
But it turned out this company was just a front for some men who wanted to build a gambling syndicate up north.
You mean your brother didn't know that?
He knew, but there was supposed to be big money in it. He was going to give Barco a good profit and take the rest for himself.
And Barco found out and threatened suit or something.
He never would have known, but the deal fell through and the gambler said the money was gone. Then he asked about the investment. What could Gregory and I tell him?
What did you?
Unfortunately, the truth. We said we'd make up the money with interest, but he only gave us 90 days. We couldn't get it by then.
So you didn't shoot him, your brother did, eh?
No, Sam, no, he couldn't have. I know Greg. He'd have more sense.
In my brief meeting with him, I didn't think he had any sense. Just one more thing before I call the police.
And don't call them. Help me get him out of here. Somewhere.
No dice.
Sam, don't let my whole life be
Stop it. You set me on Barco to find some blackmailing material, yes?
Yes.
And then why did you suddenly call me off the job tonight?
I didn't.
Your secretary said you did.
I didn't tell her anything of the sort.
Can I have that phone now? So I called you, Dundee. Before you arrived, I looked through Barco's pockets for something to do and came up with a picture of him and a girl taken outside a marriage chapel in Las Vegas. The girl was Celeste, Cameron Incorporated's plushy secretary, several years younger and 2 shades less voluptuous. Her address, 627 Finley, was supplied by a now hysterical Adela Cameron. No one answered Celeste's door, but I heard a shower going inside, so I took the liberty of entering. Persona non grata.
Is there somebody out there?
There is.
Well, who is it?
Come out and see.
Oh.
No false moves now. Keep that towel right where it is. Am I doing here detective work? And I must say I've already found out a great deal.
Well, Sam, I'll admit I did express some interest in you, but if you recall, I told you not tonight.
It's my only night off.
Sam, please leave. I don't want any difficult feelings.
All right, we knock off the cute touches and get down to business. You were married to I.J. Barco, right or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong, it's right. You were married in Las Vegas at the chapel of the Flamingo Hotel, the towel.
I was only married one day. My parents had it annulled. I was underage.
Well, you don't have to worry about him anymore. He's dead.
No.
Shot 3 times at close range.
Oh, no.
In Adela Cameron's house.
What?
Not by you, of course. Although, on the other hand, as you would say, why not?
I didn't do it, Sam.
Suppose you spill.
He wanted me to marry him again.
Why?
Well,
I know all about the money the Camerons misused.
He found out Greg and I were in love.
I should have known.
He said he'd forget about the entire $150,000 if I'd marry him for 6 years.
$25,000 a year. That's a good price.
How can you talk like that?
Practice, I guess. So, Gregory had another good reason for killing him.
He didn't, Sam. I know he didn't.
Anything that would stand up in court?
I don't think so.
Suppose we say you called me off Barco's tail so Gregory could get at it.
I didn't.
I called off because I was supposed to meet I.J. at his apartment tonight and give him his answer. I couldn't do it with you there.
Flimsy, but it might hold.
The truth. I was going to see him, but I changed my mind.
Any particular reason?
You saw him. Would he be the kind of man I'd marry?
You did once. Well, it looks bad for Greg. Because someone at Cameron Incorporated knew Barco was going to be at Adela's house.
Sam, will you do me a favor?
Maybe.
Give me an hour. Then I'll go wherever you want. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Why an hour?
Just if I'm going to live with myself, there's something I have to do.
Well?
Please, Sam. If you do, I'll give you some information you might want.
For example?
There was someone at Cameron Incorporated who knew that Barco was going to Adela's house.
She must have known I was going to wait outside and tail her, but she didn't, because without once looking over her shoulder, she emerged from her apartment house, slithered into her car, and led me directly down to the railroad station. She met a man in the waiting room, threw her arms around him, whispered something in his ear, and they hurried out to track 7. There was a transcontinental train getting up steam. She kissed him, and he climbed quickly up into a Pullman named Aurora Falls. And almost as quickly, I climbed in the other end. We met in the middle.
What are you doing here?
I came to take you off the train, Greg, before you made a big mistake and left town.
Now, look here,
Let's not go through the intercollegiate tough talk again. Are you coming off, or am I going to carry you off?
You're going to carry me off?
And I did. Celeste was gone, and he revived when he hit the cool air. I let him out of the station as unobtrusively as possible. Then we went down a side street to where my car was parked. That's where he began to show signs of life.
Spade, look. You're all wrong. Guy's got a right to leave town when he wants to. I'm going to sue you from here to the city hall and back.
Shut up and get in the car.
Celeste just told me about Barco. You don't think I did that, do you?
As I get it, you and Celeste were leaving town together, right?
Yeah, she told me to go on and she'd come later.
That was unwise of both of you. Come on, get in.
Spade, I didn't kill Barco.
Nobody said you did. Now, if you kindly get in the car and give me an address I want, and you know, we'll go see who did kill I.J. Barco. He gave me the address I wanted and said I was crazy. I told him why I wasn't, and he began to see the reason of it. Never have I gone to pick up a murderer with more distaste. When we knocked at the door, I had a gun in my hand, but it wasn't necessary.
Oh, come in, Mr. Spade. I knew you'd be along sooner or later.
I don't like what I have to do, Major.
Major, it can't be true. It just can't be. Come in, Gregory, my boy. Come in. A little Madeira first before we start to talk.
Madeira? How can you talk about wine when a man's accusing you of murder?
Oh, I don't think it's so unreasonable, Greg. After all, I did kill the unfortunate Mr. Barco, and this might be the last Madeira I shall ever have. Mr. Spade.
Thank you, sir.
Greg?
I don't want any wine. Spadey's out of his mind, and so are you.
I'm afraid not, Greg.
Oh, that was a vintage 1900 Madeira you wasted, Greg. Twice as old as you.
Stop it.
I'm sorry about what happened, Greg. I would have spared you and your sister this unhappiness if I could have. But destiny was against us all.
You knew he was going to Miss Cameron's house, didn't you?
Yes. Just before I left for the bank with the weekly deposit, he called for Miss Cameron, and I took the call. I told him she was gone, and he said he was going to her house. It was to be an ultimatum. The money in 24 hours or exposure.
But you didn't have to...
Kill him? Certainly not. It was a crime of passion. I take the weekly deposit to the bank every Friday, and I always carry a gun. Silly me carrying a gun. Never had to use it, but the bonding company requires I carry it. Well, I went directly from the bank to Miss Cameron's house. I wanted to help her face Barco.
Was she there?
Oh, no, Mr. Spade. She'd apparently stopped downtown to do some shopping. So I faced Barco alone. I asked him point blank to give these young people more time, but he just laughed at me. He said the only time they'd get would be in jail, so...
It happened.
Well, I hadn't intended to, but I became angry. Suddenly found the gun in my hand, and the thought crossed my mind, my life is just about over, and yours, Greg, is just beginning. It was easier to pull the trigger than I would have realized.
Oh, Lord.
More Madeira, Mr. Spade?
Thank you, Major, but no.
Well, allow me to present the bottle to you as a gift. I'll get my hat and coat. Greg, my boy, I'm sorry.
You're sorry. Major, I wish I'd never been born.
End of report.
Oh, Sam. I wish I hadn't either.
Hadn't what?
Been born. That poor, poor man.
Yes, our racket.
It is. And poor Gregory. He'll have to go to jail for something, too.
He will, Eth. He will. How about typing it up?
Well, I hate to, but I guess it's my duty.
Three chimes mean good times on NBC. There's no cover charge at Duffy's Tavern. Just keep your dial on this NBC station this evening as Archie the Manager, played by Ed Gardner, and his remarkable friends serve up another Blue Plate special of grilled English language, fresh laughs, and whimsy a la mode. Another Friday fun favorite is The Delightful Life of Riley, starring William Bendix as the beleaguered Chester A. Riley.
Now, let me see. Murder is all in place. Gunshots indicated. Dundee's grammar edited. My astuteness emphasized. Yeah, you've learned your job well, Effie.
Oh, I'm glad you're pleased, Sam.
Wait a minute. What's this?
What?
P.S. Dundee, hands off Celeste Roberts. She's mine. Effie, what's the meaning of that?
Well, you are going back to see her, aren't you? After the way she threw herself at you, no?
Do you think she's my type of woman?
Oh, Sam, I think every woman's your type. Every woman but me.
Now, Effie, come here. Would I have you working in this office if you weren't my type?
Guess not.
Well, then let that thought be your comfort. The world can have all the Celeste Roberts it wants as far as... Oh, I can't go through with it.
You see, Sam, you can have her if you want to. But in the end, I know you'll come back to me.
I never doubted it once.
Oh, Sam, you don't know how much you mean to me.
Yes, I do, Effie. 3 weeks back salary.
Oh, you. Good night.
Good night, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade are produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade was played by Stephen Dunn. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. Script for tonight's adventure by John Michael Hayes and Dick Powell. Musical scoring by Lud Gluskin, conducted by Robert Armbruster. Join us again next week, same time, for another adventure with Sam Spade. Hear the magnificent Montague, then visit Duffy's Tavern on NBC. The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sam Spade Detective Agency?
Me, sweetheart, bounce along Spade.
Bounce along Spade.
The only cowpoke in the West with so much daylight between him and his saddle, the California Limited, can pass under without ever slackening speed.
Sam!
I'm rough and I'm tough and I'm ready, gal. I'll outshoot, outride, and outcourt any man in boots. Or barefooted either, as a matter of fact. Choose your weapon.
What's come over you? Where have you been?
Where the air is warm and the women are warmer, if in the end comes swift and sudden.
Oh?
I took Horace Greeley's advice, sweetheart. I went west.
West? But Sam, are we all ready?
Keep your reins tight, gal. I calculate to bowleg my way through the door, garbed in my 12-gallon hat, my buckskin shirt, my worn Levi's, and my twin six-guns with extra-large hammers to dictate my report on the Dry Gulch Caper. Or they went that away.
For NBC, William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you the greatest private detective of them all in The Adventures of Sam Spade.
Effie! Come here, fairy flower. Are you the new schoolmarm?
Oh! What's happened to you, Sam? You're so strong, so real.
For real? Not only that, so be, Effie. So absolutely be.
Oh, was there anything I can get you?
Not unless you have an in at the local cushion factory. Shall we see? I'd like to get it over with.
Thanks, sir. You mean it gives you a headache just to think of it?
It's not my head that I was referring to. You ready, little partner?
Ready, sir?
Date, fill it in, to Lieutenant R.C. Halliday, robbery detail, San Francisco Police Department City. From Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, a Wild West caper, or Hopalong Cassidy can have it. Dear Halliday, I should say at this very instant, I should be cramming for my entrance exams to the mission home for Saddle Sore Private Detectives. But knowing how this report will tidy up your files, I shall proceed in a standing position. It was late yesterday afternoon when, for me, the bells tolled. That was when I first heard the purty voice of the girl of the Golden West.
Mr. Spade, you are Sam Spade, the detective.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Who?
Mr. Spade, I'm calling about my grandfather. You don't even know who I am, do you?
I cannot tell a lie. I don't, ma'am.
My name's Penny Brewster, and I only hope I can tell you the story before Grandfather comes before him.
The story?
Yes, you see. Oh, here he comes. Play along with him, Mr. Spade, please. And remember, you're not Sam Spade, the detective. You're Marshal Spade of the California Rangers.
Marshal? Wait a minute.
Yes, and you must look the part.
In a blue serge suit?
You'll think of something. I know you will. I've heard private detectives are terribly clever.
Well, I...
Marshal Spade?
That's right.
Buck Brewster talking.
Yeah?
Penny says you're the Spade of shooting pokey since Billy the Kid. T-Rex?
Huh? Oh, sure. T-Rex, Buck. T-Rex.
Same's you and the horse fly along like you was one. T-Rex?
Buck, at one time or another, I've taken a flyer on every nag in the game. Trotters included.
Then you're my man, Marshal. Get up here fast. The shooting's liable to start any minute.
We have a bad connection on this phone. I thought you said the shooting's liable to start.
I ain't got no time to waste on useless palaver, Spade. Just get up here. I'll paint the whole picture when I see you.
Get up where? Where are you?
Why, in Dry Gulch. Where else would I be?
Well, where is Dry Gulch?
Take the main trail north out of town till you spot the Oak Circle. Then bear right.
Yeah?
I'll go down now and leave a change amount to the circle.
How far would you say this circle is from San Fran?
Oh, about a half day's hard ride, I reckon.
Half a day's out. Look, Buck, I don't think I'd better. I'm out of condition, you know. I haven't been riding lately.
Oh, sure, that ain't what my purdy granddaughter tells me.
Purdy, eh? Half a day's hard ride. About 20 miles, huh? I don't remember any time along there.
Don't worry about the town, Marshal. It's here. Just get in your saddle and get to Lopin.
You're sure there's a town there?
Please, I ain't got time to argue geography with you. Now, listen. Them $50 gold pieces clinking together, and I got a whole summer full of them. Are you coming up here?
Buck, tell them to take to the high hills. Sam Spade rides again. I made 2 stops before I hailed a cab and told the startled driver to proceed north on the main trail out of town. At a corner newsstand where I riffled through a Western Story magazine to determine what the saddle and sagebrush set is wearing this season, and at the Hitch and Post costume shop where I donned what I thought was a rather colorful facsimile of the same. We drove out 101 at a smooth 55 for almost half an hour before I spotted a circular clump of trees, complete with horse. As we reared to a halt, the driver looked back at me and shook his head.
I'm taking down your description, Buster, just in case they ask. Black 10-gallon hat, purple silk shirt, orange Angora check. Boy, I've seen everything now.
You obviously aren't an Esquire man. Now, this wardrobe was personally endorsed by Mr. T.
Yeah.
You sure you want to get out here, Buster? At this very spot, Buster.
But there ain't nothing here, but nothing.
Wrong, my good man. For you, there's this. For me, yonder steed and the dusty trail on your right. Pleasant journey back to the fort, and keep an eye peeled for the Indians.
A fruitcake. I've been hauling a fruitcake.
We drove off, and I staggered on the sides of my ankles toward the horse, the mount that Buck had left for me. Now, this ornery critter took one look at my costume, and as I swung up into the saddle, he shuddered, then closed his eyes, and zowie! Hey, wait for me, horse! Hey, horse! It was approximately 7 miles later, and I was beginning to feel better because I was paralyzed from the waist down, that we passed past a sign that read, Dry Gulch City Limits, beware of flying lead. And then came Dry Gulch Caper, ramshackle buildings lined its solitary dusty streets, roofs sagging, walls leaning crazily inward. There wasn't a human being in sight. Dry Gulch was a ghost town. We come past the Golden Spur Cafe, Whitey's Tonsorial Parlor, the Lone Ace Gambling Casino, and Gherkin's Saddle and Harness Shop, all deserted, before my horse plowed to a halt in front of the Red Dog Saloon. I dismounted and hobbled in. Inside, the Red Dog was a spider's paradise. Cobwebs covered everything. A Jesse James wanted poster tacked on a wall. An 1835 calendar bearing a picture of Sam Houston. Even a bottle of red eye standing on the bar. I was washing the trail dust out of my throat when a familiar object on a shelf behind the bar caught my attention. I shoved the bottle hastily away from me and rapidly blinked my eyes. But what I'd seen was still there. A brand new oak case television set. And then somebody shoved another familiar object right into my ribs.
For your sake, I hope you're Marshal Spade.
The same, and also for my sake, I hope you don't have a nervous trigger finger.
Mighty careless, Marshal, drinking with your back to the door. Let me look you over. Turn around. At the low.
All right, Buck. There we are.
Well, why in tarnation are you rigged out like that?
Well, perhaps these aren't my best colors, but, how about the shooting you spoke of? What's the trouble, Buck?
Oh, it's that low-down snake Blackie Tolliver, Marshal.
Blackie Tolliver?
Oh, you must have heard of Blackie. Here, this is him here.
Blackie Tolliver, sought for the robbery of the Cattleman's National Bank, Oklahoma City, June 25th, 1894. Rough ornery cayuse.
But he left. We crossed trails first when he pulled that job. Me being a sheriff in 94, it was up to me to chase him down. But he wrangled himself a pardon. Slippery snake.
And then?
Well, 4 years later, I hit Tombstone, all time to settle down. Even had a little family all picked out, but it never happened.
What did?
Oh, that creeping, crawling Blackie Tolliver sweet talked her into leaving town with him.
Your girl ran off with Blackie?
To get hitched in Dawson City. Then he stranded her there, sick and broke. I burned the letter getting to her when I heard, but I was too late.
Oh, I'm sorry, Buck, but that's a long time ago.
Well, I vowed I'd get that sidewinder. I chased him all over the West, but if you couldn't catch him, then 3 days ago I seen him again.
Here in Dry Gulch?
No, on TV.
What?
Yeah, some program was telecasting about a new bank opening in Frisco. And there, big as life, was Blackie right on the TV.
You could recognize him on television? Amazing.
And you know what he was doing there, Marshal?
What?
Blackie Tolliver, who has held up more banks than I've got fingers and toes, was the guard in that bank.
You mean he pulled a switch, huh? Trailing with the law now.
Quick as the TV was finished, I read him a letter. I challenged him to a shootout here in Dry Gulch where no one could interfere. And as soon as he shows up, I'm going to cut him down.
Well, what makes you think he'll show?
Well, 2 of his gang was skulking around yesterday looking to lay out for him.
You mean 2 of his gang? How do you figure that?
Well, it's simple. I sent him that letter when Nene shows up. The first humans to set foot in Dry Gulch in 10 years. Yes, sir. Now, if Blackie's got a gang, I might need some help, see? That's where you come in. If things get too rough, you're going to step in and swing the tide.
Me? Why, I haven't swung a tide in years.
Penny!
A girl now entered the Red Dog. A girl, and I do not use the term loosely. Golden hair framed a face that belonged nowhere but on a ranch romance's cover. And her plaid shirt and jeans encased the sort of figure that lonely cowpokes dream of. The sort of figure, as a matter of fact, that lonely private detectives dream of, too.
Now, this is my granddaughter, Penny, Marshal. Pretty as a new saddle, ain't she?
I don't know, sir. I've heard a lot about you.
So I've heard.
Show the marshal where he'll bed down, honey. And keep your eyes open, Spade. Them varmints are liable to strike any minute. There, you can run along now.
Okay, Buck, you'll be here?
Well, I wouldn't be nowhere else for the next half hour. Not with Sagebrush Sandy coming on.
Sagebrush Sandy?
Yes, sir. The best thing that ever happened to TV. Oh, no. The greatest stick jockey this side of the Pecos River. Now, if I can just find him.
Now, remove the tape from the oven.
Oh.
Oh, dear, what a mess. Why, for a quick substitute today.
Dad-ratted cooking expert. Oh, Dixieland. Dixieland. Musical murder, that's what it is.
And San Francisco police have no clue to the whereabouts of two armed gunmen who late this afternoon forced the guard to open the doors of the Park State Bank and escaped with a suitcase full of currency.
Dixieland, bank robbers. They're in Carnation Sagebrush Sandy. And just listen to that record he's spinning. Now, that's real music.
Let's quickly.
I take it Sagebrush Sandy's program doesn't do anything for you?
Well, let's say the first cherry does more.
I'm glad you stayed, Mr. Spade. For a minute, I was afraid you were leaving Dry Gulch.
Where were you?
Outside the window you were trying to reach.
You mean you heard all the things Beth said then?
Uh-huh. We came in here.
Oh.
This is the Overland Hotel.
You're not worried about your grandfather?
No, Mr. Spade, there's nothing wrong with him. He's been like this ever since I can remember.
Oh?
Well, here you are. Not the Fairmount, exactly.
Oh, charming. About Beth.
Grandfather was a very old man who's trying desperately to live in the past. That's why he bought Dry Gulch.
You mean he bought the whole town?
Lock, stock, and barrel. It was, well, a dream he'd had for years come true. A chance to live out his life in the sort of surroundings he loved.
And Blackie Tolliver, the demon bank robber who came back on television the other day.
I've heard about Blackie Tolliver since I was so high. This showdown with Blackie is all Grandfather talks about. And when it doesn't happen, there'll be no living with him. Unless he can be convinced Blackie was just too scared to face him.
And I'm to convince him? Why me?
Who could convince him easier than Marshal Spade of the California Rangers talking to him man to man?
Oh, I see. Well, look, I can't take his money.
Please, Angel, for tonight. Tomorrow you can leave and forget the whole thing. You will help me. Won't you, Sam?
Her face was only inches from mine and getting closer every second when the silence of Dry Gulch was shattered by shouts and the sound of pounding feet. I crossed the room and peered out into the twilight. A man was running through the Red Cross saloon toward the hotel, but nowhere near fast enough. All four of the shots that lanced out from the Red Dog caught him directly under my window. He staggered drunkenly and then fell face up in the street. As I looked down at him, two thoughts were inescapable. A, his was the same face Buck had shown me on the poster, so there was that Blackie Tolliver. And B, whatever game Penny's grandfather was playing right now was apparently one he was playing for keeps. You are listening to the weekly adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. Have you met our new baby yet? I mean, NBC's new baby, The Big Show. And what a baby it is. The biggest baby you ever heard, and he's not crying either. Why should he cry with stars like Tallulah Bankhead, Jimmy Durante, Clifton Webb, Mindy Carson, Meredith Wilson, and a host of others to make him radio's greatest spectacle ever? This Sunday and every Sunday, meet The Big Show. An hour and a half of comedy, music, and drama. All this and Tallulah, too. No wonder it's The Big Show. And Sunday evening over most of these NBC stations also means Theater Guild on the air. Now back to the Dry Gulch Caper, or They Went That Away. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. Blackie Tolliver was still alive but unconscious when Penny and I reached him moments later. His forced breathing was the only sound to be heard along Dry Gulch's single street. Wherever Buck had gone after the shooting, whatever he was doing, he was quiet as a mouse. I examined Blackie as best I could in the dusty light. He was wearing a Park State Bank guard uniform, and it was soaked with red. He needed medical attention fast.
He dies, Sam. They'll call it murder, won't they?
Let's not talk about that now.
Won't they?
What else could they call it? Blackie didn't have a prayer. He isn't even carrying a gun.
But Grandfather just... Oh, Sam, what are we going to do?
Right now, we're going to get Blackie to a hospital. That means we'll need horses and some help.
There's no one to help us.
Well, there's Buck. You saddle horses, I'll find him.
If we take him to a hospital, he still might die, and what will we gain? If we didn't, no one would ever know that Grandfather...
Penny.
I'll saddle the horses. Sam, please don't hurt me for what I was thinking.
I carried Blackie to the hotel porch and did what I could to make him comfortable. Then I started looking for Buck. Buck's TV set was still on when I reached the Red Door, but it was playing to a dark, empty house. I turned away to continue my search, and then I stopped. The music tearing at my eardrums was pure Dixieland. Musical murder, as Buck called it. I checked my watch. 6:23. Only 23 minutes since Penny and I left the saloon. That meant Sagebrush Sandy still had 7 minutes to go. I could see Buck taking a powder after dropping Blackie, but I couldn't see him forsaking his beloved Sandy for Dixieland before he did it. I was wondering who had switched channels when I saw what I'd missed before. A sliver of light shining under a door at the back of the room. I cat-footed my way across the Red Dog and had almost reached the door when, for the second time since my arrival in Dry Gulch, I felt a gun barrel pressed against my spine.
Don't stop, Snoop. Let's keep moving right on through the door.
I'm sorry, sir. I can hardly hear you with that music.
All right, so we can turn it off, the music.
Thank you. Now?
Now move.
Well, you insist, but I can only stay a moment.
Rocky, what happened? I thought the population of this town was but one.
So did I. I got rid of the old town, but on the way back I ran into this G. Apparently the census taker's overlooking him.
It only proves you can believe no man. We are given positive assurance the place is deserted, yet traffic suddenly becomes unbearable.
Well, perhaps I was being over-friendly, gentlemen. We Westerners get carried away now and then. Now, if you'll excuse me...
Hold it, Snoop. Yes, friend. You have just arrived.
Well, really, boys, it's far past my usual bedtime.
So you sleep in tomorrow. Sit down. Leave us chat.
There were several things in that candlelit back room I could have chatted about. I could have told Al Torino, short, swarthy, and one of the best-known bank boys in the business, that I'd recognize him as soon as his friend herded me through the door. Or perhaps mention the currency stacked high on the table before him, each packet held together by a paper binder with the words, Park State Bank of San Francisco stamped very neatly on it.
Now, suppose you tell us about what you're snooping around for.
Gentlemen, this is all a grievous misunderstanding. I merely happened by to remind you of the annual rodeo to be held at Devil's Elbow this coming Saturday.
An innocent, friendly gesture. Tell us more.
A most colorful event, the rodeo. Bronco busting, covered wagon races, wild steer roping, and anyone can enter. Now, perhaps you would be interested?
Me? Why, I haven't roped a wild steer in almost a fortnight.
Your friend, perhaps?
Heaven alone knows how long it's been since I roped a steer. I busted a bronco.
Well, it was just a thought.
Well, hold it. Please. I'm most unhappy that we misjudge you, friend.
Oh, it's nothing. Every call can't be a happy one.
You ought to make me feel worse. I feel we owe you something for at least thinking of us. Don't you, Corky?
Yes, indeed, Al. Yes, indeed.
I couldn't think of it. I'll just run along.
No, our minds are made up. Give it on, Corky.
I dove for him as the words left his mouth because I knew what they intended to give me. But I only got in one punch because Corky knew what Al was going to say before he said it. That gave him a slight advantage. And it was all he needed. When I came out of it, I was lying in total darkness, and I wasn't alone.
Oh, that blasted varmint. She wouldn't let it loose and get my hand on it. Varmint. Let me loose.
Just a minute, Buck. I'll give you a hand. There you are. Hey, how'd they get you, Buck?
Oh, I was watching the TV, and I heard a car, and then Blackie and them two that were skulking around yesterday drove up, and they walked right into the Red Dog as if they was aiming to steal.
Who was carrying the suitcase?
Blackie was. And the others was walking along behind him with their guns drawn, protecting them, so I couldn't get to them. So I sneaked around to the front of the Red Dog, hoping I could surprise them. Well, it was me that got surprised, though.
Well, what happened, Buck?
Well, they was in the back room, and Blackie was hollering about a double cross and a fair cut. I'm got that kind of talk. And then the door busted open, and he came tearing out across the room with that little critter right behind him.
That'd be Al Torino. He's the one who got Blackie.
He what?
Got Blackie.
You mean that wall-eyed critter's been messing around my range?
Remember we heard on TV about the Park State Bank being knocked over? These are the boys who did it.
Well, I'll be your... And Blackie was the hostage that announcer fellow was talking about. He was the bank guard, and they took him.
No, Blackie was in it, too. The inside man. He had to be.
You think Blackie opened them doors for him without any persuasion, huh?
I'll give you odds on it, Beck. And they didn't just happen to pick Dry Gulch as their hideout, either.
Blackie must have suggested it after you wrote and told him you were up here all alone. You didn't know it, but you were handing him a perfect hideout.
Yes, but why would one of his own gang drop Blackie?
Perino and the other one apparently figured a lot of money for 3 would be even more for 2.
Yeah, Hey, listen to that.
Oh.
Them varmints are fixing to pull out. Come on, let's go get them.
I'm right with you, Buck.
Hey, hold up. Hold up, you bushwhacking dudes. Hey. Oh, dad rat, it's too late, Marshal. There they go, tearing down the back road.
Is there any way we can cut across country and head them off?
No, not afoot we can't, and by the time we saddle up some ponies, they'll be gone.
It pains me to even mention this, Buck, but I sent Penny to do just that some time ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, what are we waiting for?
We galloped up draws, down canyons, through streams, over cliffs, and across deserts. And the only place on me that felt good was my head, where Corky had sacked me. And finally, Buck, riding ahead of me, pulled his pony to a halt and waited for me to catch up. Somehow, I slid south off my horse's neck and was back in the saddle again when I drew abreast of him.
Well, we ain't going to have to trap them dudes after all, Marshal.
Huh?
No, Cripple Creek's done it first.
Cripple Creek?
The driest creek in the west. It crosses the road up ahead of Peace. And right now, them critters are sitting hub deep in sand. Come on, let's start riding circle.
Riding circle?
Indian style.
Oh.
Round and round the car till we pick them off.
Oh, no, Buck. We're going to handle this my way, and it won't be on horseback.
Huh. What fancy plan have you got?
None. It's very simple. We leave the horses right here. You get as close to them as you can along the road, and I'll circle around behind them. Now, don't show yourself until I go after them. You got it?
Well, all right. But I still think circling's better.
I left him there and dodged from bush to boulder to tree, working my way to a position behind Al Perino and Corky. I had just reached a rock formation that overlooked the road right over their car and slipped my .38 out of its hiding place beneath the purple silk shirt when I realized that Buck wasn't going to do things anyway but his own.
All right, you city-fied tomcat, make your play! You'll find
Buck stood in the headlights there, crouched low, slightly behind Perino and his henchman. His hands were an indistinct blur as Perino spun around, digging for his left arm. He was fast, but it's almost impossible to outdraw a man who uses a breakaway shoulder holster. I was on my feet and running toward the car when Buck staggered backward, a look of surprise on his face, and then crumpled to the ground. I fired as I ran, and Corky's saddle face was still falling forward when Al Perino caught the last of my bullets and followed him down. I reached Buck and lifted him into a sitting position.
Oh.
His eyes were bewildered as he looked up at me.
You got me, Marshal.
Easy, Buck. Now let's have a look. There we are. Oh, Buck, you were lucky. Just grazed the rib.
You got me, Marshal. I guess I better hang up my shooting irons and just concentrate on tending tender.
You know, Buck, I've been wondering how you wound up with a granddaughter anyway. If the filly Blackie ran off with meant so much to you, how could you...
Marry up with somebody else?
Yeah.
Oh, shucks, Marshal. Penny's grandma was twice the woman that first one was. Best in the West.
Well, then how come you held a grudge against Blackie all those years and wanted to shoot it out with him?
Oh, I didn't really, but drat it all. A man's got to have a little excitement in his life, don't he?
Period. End of report.
Sam. What a fantastic story.
It is that, F. It is that. But go type it up anyhow.
Are you sure you're not making up the whole thing?
For the Darden Thomases, I have a matched set of saddle scars to prove the truth of each and every statement.
Oh, I'll take your word for it. I'll type it up right away.
3 chimes mean good times on NBC. There's no cover charge at Duffy's Tavern. Just keep your dial tuned to NBC later as Archie and his delightful friends cook up another mad and merry session at that remarkable restaurant, Duffy's Tavern. This Sunday, the big show comes your way again on NBC, the best in comedy, music, and drama, with unpredictable Tallulah as MC, Jimmy Durante, Clifton Webb, and many more. No questions?
Yes. One, if you don't mind.
Ask.
Dorothy died, I suppose.
Indeed not. She'll be up and in fine fettle by the time his trial rolls around.
But you went galloping across the desert and forgot all about him. Who took care of him?
The doctor. Who else?
The doctor?
Yeah.
What doctor? And a ghost guy?
Oh, besides forgetting Blackie, I also forgot there was a phone in Dry Gulch. That's how Penny contacted me in the first place, remember?
And she called the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
This was Penny.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of liked her, didn't you, Sam?
Oh, she was all right in a beautiful, gorgeous sort of way.
Oh, I see.
We never did get to sit down and talk things over, Ash. In fact, I never got to sit down. I still haven't.
Poor Sam. It's like Mother says, we all have muscles that we're not accustomed to use. And then when we use them,
they do indeed, Ash.
The things you have to do to make both ends meet.
Oh, shut up. Come here.
Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart. The Adventures of Sam Spade are produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade was played by Stephen Dunn. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. Wally Mayer was Buck. Script for tonight's adventure by Don Carey. Musical scoring by Led Bleskin, conducted by Robert Armbruster. Join us again next week, same time, for another adventure with Sam Spade. Hear the magnificent Montague, then visit Duffy's Tavern on NBC. The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
Sam Spade, Detective Agency.
Me, sweetheart.
What was that, Lyle?
Nothing. That was my teeth chattering.
Oh, is it cold out?
Out where I was, Effie, I've been swimming.
In December? Oh, Sam, you caught a chill.
That's true, Eff. I caught a real Russian chill. They're not keeping San Francisco Bay as well heated as they might.
The bay? Sam, you were swimming in the...
Where else, Eff?
But... Oh, Sam, you've been drinking.
Only brine, Angel, and what kelp juice I could scavenge.
Kelp juice?
Oh, it was a taxing experience, Eff. A lesser man couldn't have come through it. Lay out some dry clothes for me, mix me a hot grog, get out your pencil that writes underwater, and prepare to take down a narrative of international intrigue and espionage, which we will call, let's see, the 25123569 caper.
What?
Or the Russian's number is up.
NBC invites you to listen to the greatest private detective of them all, as William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you The Adventures of Sam Spade. Effie!
Here I am, Sam. I was just calling the janitor to see if he could turn on some more heat so you could... Oh, you're not so very wet.
Well, I had a dry martini on the way over.
Dr. Ames called you a few hours ago. Dr. Oscar Ames.
Did he? That was nice.
He was worried about you. Wanted to know if you'd been found yet. He said you two were on a ferry boat, and that he just stepped in to have a cup of coffee, and when he came back...
Yes, Effie, yes. Well, can't keep the FBI waiting.
The FBI?
Well, who else? You don't think I was playing around with kids on this caper?
Oh, no, Sam. I knew they were grown-ups.
Now, take it down, then. And this one, your Uncle Sam was working for his Uncle Sam. They fill it in. To Federal Bureau of Investigation, Washington, D.C. Care of J. Edgar... Oh, no, that'd be too much. Well, why not? From Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, Boris Kargamensky.
How do you spell that, Sam?
Kargamensky. K-A-R-G...
No, I don't mean that. I mean Boris.
Oh, I should have known. B-O-R-I-S. Dear Sir, last night I let my secretary off at 5:30 so that she could go and do some Christmas shopping, although I've told her repeatedly that all I want this year is money. The fog was rolling in off the bay, and it was bitter cold as I came out onto the street, pulling my overcoat collar up around my ears. Seemed like the night for spaghetti. A wonderful spaghetti dinner and some pleasant Italian hospitality down at Mama Pizza's restaurant on the Embarcadero opposite the ferry building. So that's where I went. But Mama Pizza had more than hospitality on her mind when she met me at the door.
Sam. Oh, I'm so glad to find you. I'm just calling your office.
Well, what's the trouble, Mama? Someone been stealing ravioli?
Please. It's my cousin Tony. They tried to kill him.
Oh, what happened, Mama?
Come on, Sam. You eat with us. Our table. I'll make Tony tell you. This one I feel so good, but he can talk all right. You're going to see.
She led me to the back of the restaurant to the table where the family generally sits. Her daughters, Angelina and Patty, were there with plates of food in front of them, but they weren't eating any of it. They were staring in awe at the man who sat next to him. He was small to start with, but he was even smaller, hunched down in his chair miserably, staring, unseeing, into a glass of wine. On the table in front of him was a battered old concertina. The top of his head was swathed in a clean, new bandage.
Sit down, Sam. Sit down. This is my cousin, Tony Calucci. Tony, my good friend, Mr. Spade.
Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Go on, Tony. You tell Sam what's happened on you. Sam, you have your dinner at the same time.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Tonight you're going to be my guest. What do you like to eat? Galatini, cacciatore?
Well, I don't care, Mama. What's that on your plate, Angelina? You going to eat that? Well, pass it over. And waste not, want not. That's what I always say. Now, what happened on you, Tony?
Well, I'm on the boat, see.
Yeah, what boat?
The ferry boat. Auckland ferry boat. Don't you never hear my music on the boat?
You play the concertina on the ferry ride.
Sure, but no more.
Huh?
Tonight on the 6 o'clock boat. Oh, boy.
Tonight on the 6 o'clock boat, what?
I'm a play inside the first by the sandwich place, and everybody say, "Oh boy, Tony, you good, you play good, play some more." 10 cents a year, 5 cents, 2 quarters even. Then I go up the stairs. Oh boy, oh boy.
And?
Then I go out on the deck. It's a very misty, foggy, black. I can't see nothing. Now I'm very happy. I feel like I play some more. So I'm a walk away back and up and down at the deck and I make a music, see. And then all of a sudden, I hear somebody say something to me. I can't see nobody. Now I hear him. What do you think he said to me?
What?
What? Cospedor.
Cospedor? As in bar?
Cospedor.
Well.
So I'm say back to him, Cospedor. I still can't see nobody. Then I hear him say, "Is that you play Boris?" So I get mad. I say, "No, I don't play Boris. I play Pagliacci, Tosca, Trovatore. But I don't play Boris." That's a foreign stuff.
I see.
Then I'm sorry I say that because this fellow, he sounds like he's a foreign. So I'm just going to say, "Look, Mr. Oh, boy.
What, Tony? What?
Patron! I get a hit on the head, smash the patron. I fall down. I'm bleeding. I drop on my concertina. My head's got a big hole on the top. I let out a big yell. Then I'm a blackout. Oh, boy. People come running around, and good luck, there's a doctor on the board. They carry me down the stairs, and he fixes me up. Otherwise, I'm a die for sure.
Well, what did it feel like? What did he hit you with?
Well, it feels like a baseball bat. But the doctor, look, here's the doctor now, just to come in. Hey, Doc.
The doctor looked in our direction when Tony called and strode over to the table. A big 6'3" blonde guy in the Joel McRae, Gary Cooper tradition. You had to like him right away. No bedside manner to this doctor, although he could have had as much of it as he liked. He was all business and no kidding. I thought I told you to go to bed and stay there.
Well, Doc, I just
want to have a concussion, Tony. I'll be back here in an hour, and then we'll take some x-rays. My name is Sam Spade, Doctor. I'm a friend of the family. Oh, Ames. Dr. Oscar Ames. How are you?
Yeah. Dr. Ames, mister, can I get you something to eat?
No, thanks, Mama. Smells wonderful, but I haven't time. Oh, I'll have a cup of coffee, maybe.
Sure. You want time to make a fun and go to bed?
Yeah. Go on now, Tony. Go lie down. I'll be back, and we'll check you over. Get some rest in the meantime.
All right, Dr. Ames. I don't know. X-ray, the whole thing. I don't know how I'm going to pay you.
Never mind that. That's why we charge our Nob Hill patients a little extra, so we're able to do something like this once in a while. This will be on me, Tony.
You're good kind of man, Doctor. I don't know what to say.
You go on and lie down, Tony. You're embarrassing the doctor.
All right.
Screwy thing, this one, isn't it, Doctor? Sure is.
Here's your coffee.
Oh, thanks, Mary. Yeah, sure is. Homicidal maniac, looks like, Mr. Spade. Oh. Spade? Sam? Are you the detective? Yeah, that's right. Well, I know about you. You did something for a colleague of mine. Murphy? Dr. Raoul Murphy? Murphy? Yeah, I did a job for him last summer. Yeah, he gave you a great send-off. Said, what is all this tonight down here? Detectives? Police? Police? How do you mean? Well, I think they were police. 5 or 6 plainclothes guys. They were waiting here on this side when the ferry pulled in to slip. They're still there holding the boat. I just left them. Well, what were they doing? Talked to all the passengers as they came off. Asked us for identification. Mm-hmm.
Hey, what do they think about Tony's little experience getting knocked on the head?
Oh, they were mighty interested, naturally. Especially when I told them how I thought the wound had been inflicted.
Which was?
Gun butt.
Gun butt, eh? Wow.
I'd say so. Lord knows I saw enough of those in the war. The Russians used to club prisoners over the head that way to save ammunition. And then fling the guys into the river. Oh, hey, I've got to go. Take that dreary ride again.
What, the ferry?
Yeah, I've got a patient over in Oakland. Had to come back over here to pick up some serum. Phoned my nurse, and she met me just out here. Well, nice to see you, Sam. Oh, tell, what's his name, Tony.
Hey, wait a minute, Doc. I've got nothing to do. I'll ride over with you. A little air won't do this dinner any harm. We crossed the street, went into the ferry building. Everything was normal enough for the main waiting room where I stopped to buy cigarettes and a pocket flashlight. But outside on the dock where the Oakland boat was waiting to take off, there were a number of extra characters whom you wouldn't think would have chosen a dismal, chilly night like this for waterfront lounging. There wasn't anybody I knew, and in any gathering of plainclothesmen, local variety, I generally spot one or two familiar faces. Dr. Ames and I got aboard, followed by three of these gentlemen. The broadest one, who was built for endurance, exchanged pleasantries with us as the boat moved out into the water.
Hello, Dr. Ames. I see you didn't miss the boat, like the old saying.
No. Oh, you're one of the fellows I talked to before when we landed.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think I got your name.
Connolly.
Connolly, this is Mr. Spade.
Yeah?
Would that be Lieutenant Connolly or Sergeant, maybe?
That's Connolly. No special title. How's the little fella doing, Doctor? Colucci?
Tony? He's under care.
He, talk anymore? Say anything interesting?
I didn't talk to him. Mr. Spade here did.
Oh. Really?
Really.
What do you have to say?
Well, you see, I'm an old friend of his family. What he told me was in confidence, and I really have to know a little more about who I'm telling his secrets to.
I see. Spade, your name was?
Still is.
Nice to meet you, Gospodin.
Gospodin?
Means nothing to you, huh?
Well, it might. Gospodin sounds like another word. Somebody might think you said customer.
That's very funny. Yeah. Are you going to stay out here on deck?
We haven't made up our minds. Is that okay?
Ought to go inside. Have a little coffee at the snack bar. It's comfortable. Ride's over before you know it. Out here it's foggy, wet, and miserable. Well, I'm going in. I'll see you later. Goodbye, Doc.
Well, maybe he's right, although I must say he's not my favorite man in the world, Mr. Connolly. It is strictly pneumonia weather out here on deck. Shall we go in?
Not just yet for me, Doctor. I think I'll stretch my legs a little. Doc, tell me, where was it that Tony got caught? On the upper deck, I know, but which side?
He was turned around now. Starboard. Just about directly above where we're standing.
Yeah, right. Don't point, Doc. Our friend Connolly and his boys are on their way out to sea. No, they went back in.
Do you think they're as mysterious as they seem?
Oh, definitely that. You know what made them turn back just now? Decide it wasn't necessary to check whether we were still here?
No, what?
They can't make us out here. It's too dark. But they can see two lighted cigarettes. Sam Spade, detective.
Mm-hmm. Look, even in the face of pneumonia, you want to get up there and look around where Tony was, don't you?
I do.
Well, then hand me your cigarette, and I'll smoke them both a yard apart, and we'll both be here. Except you. Oscar Ames, M.D.
Masterful thinking, Doc.
Go ahead, I'll be here.
So I trod the slippery stairs to the upper deck. The fog was as wet as rain. I couldn't see any more than inches ahead of me with my flashlight. Finally, I stopped about an midship and looked down over the rail. Ames and his two cigarettes, tiny red dots of light that grew brighter every now and then as he puffed at them, were almost directly beneath me, so I knew I was just about right. A sudden noise over my head made me shoot my light up toward it. It came from a piece of canvas that had suddenly ripped loose, the canvas that covered the top of a lifeboat. I got up there somehow and perched precariously, holding onto two steel supports with one arm. The piece of canvas had been ripped open with a knife, a hole large enough for a man's body to get through. And that's what was in there, sprawled in the bottom of the lifeboat, a man's body. He'd been stabbed in the neck. This was the man who had slugged Tony, or so it seemed, because the gun was still clenched in his right hand, barrel reversed. There was nothing in his pockets, just a handkerchief and $2 in change. But my flash caught a speck of something white in one of his shoes. It was a bit of paper with two typewritten lines on it. I let myself down to the deck, rubbed the circulation back into my arm where I'd been holding on, and prepared to read the note. And that's when my flashlight went dead. I groped about, cursing them for not checking their batteries, until I found a faint, ghostly glimmer of light overhead, out over the edge of the ship on the outside of the rail. I climbed over, steadied myself against lurching, and lit a couple of matches.
It said, International Postcard Shop, Geary Street, SF. Greeting card for Boris. I put the bit of paper in my pocket and turned to climb back over the rail. And then something came at me from the flash. It caught me full in the center of the forehead. And as I staggered, came again like a block of wood right on the top of my head. It made it burn with sudden fire. Tiny points of light glittered in the blackness. Came rushing toward me and grew larger, and I fell crashing over the side. They tell you a lot about what you remember when you're going down for the third time. You know what I remembered? I remembered that Gospodin is Russian for comrade. Sam Spade, detective. You are listening to the weekly adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. Imagine the greatest names in stage, screen, and radio. People like Bob Hope, Rosalind Russell, Meredith Wilson, Frankie Lane, and many, many others. Imagine an hour and a half of the very finest in comedy, music, and drama. Imagine all this rolled into one wonderful program, presided over by the distaff dynamo, Tallulah Bankhead. Well, NBC has the program. It's The Big Show, heard every Sunday night over most of these stations. All this and Tallulah, too. No wonder it's The Big Show. And Sunday evening also means Theater Guild on the air. This Sunday, Theater Guild presents Boomerang, starring Kirk Douglas. And now back to the 251235679 caper. Tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. I found myself mechanically keeping afloat somehow and trying to get out of my overcoat. My eyes burned. I felt heavy and lodged, as if I'd swallowed gallons of water. My head began to clear a little, but with returning consciousness came increased pain. Pretty bad, too. From out of the misty blanket, from every direction, in a dozen different keys, from near and far, foghorns sounded. I knew that by now the current had swept me out of the path of the Oakland ferries. The water was chilling me. I turned over and began swimming, just hard enough to keep the blood circulating. The lights of a boat came into sight suddenly, and I threw back my head and yelled. But the horn crying its warning drowned me out, and the boat went on, and the fog closed in behind me. And then I found myself full of a strange and wonderful weariness. The water wasn't cold anymore. I was warm with a comfortable, soothing numbness, and I knew what to do. I'd swim until I didn't hear the noise of the horns anymore. And then, in the quiet of the friendly fog, go to sleep. So I began to doze. And then some light came into my eyes, and I wanted to stay in the dark. I turned my face down into the embrace of the water. And then I wasn't where you'd expect at all. I was lying on a baggage truck that was moving. People were crowding around, walking beside the truck, staring at me. The guy in uniform, wheeling me, noticed I had my eyes open.
Well, hello, pal. Welcome back to the United States.
Hello, what part of the United States?
Just landing in Sausalito. Lay still. We'll take you over to the hospital.
Sausalito. How long before this boat gets back to San Francisco?
Right away.
Well, okay, I'm going with...
Hey, wait, sir. You ain't in no condition.
Thanks, I'll be okay. Half an hour later, shivering and shaking in my wet clothes, keeping my mouth clamped tight so my teeth wouldn't sound like a dice game, I climbed into a taxi at the ferry building and went to my apartment. There I swallowed half a pint of whiskey and rubbed myself with a coarse towel until my skin was sore. Then I looked in the pocket of the soggy suit I'd hung up to dry. It was still there. A piece of paper from the dead man's shoe. Damp, but legible. International Postcard Shop, Geary Street, SF. Greeting card for Boris. I got up to put on a dry suit and then changed my mind. Put the wet one back on. Good evening. Are you the proprietor here?
Yes, that's right, sir. 6 years at the same location. Oh, my goodness, is it raining out? You really got...
Dowsing? Yes, I did. Nice collection of postcards from all over, eh? Yes. South America, every place.
Yes, I pride myself on having the most complete possible selection. Was there something you had especially in mind?
Yes, there was.
Oh?
I'm looking for a greeting card for Boris.
You...
What's the matter? Didn't you hear me?
Yes.
Didn't you understand?
Well,
Well, what?
it's only that I didn't exactly expect somebody like you.
What did you expect? Somebody slinking around in a false mustache, wearing dark glasses, and an Inverness cape?
No, I...
You know, with your type of thinking, you may not be the right man for this job, Gus Pagey.
Now, wait, please, Mr. Luboff. I thought you were dead. You drowned.
Yeah, who told you that?
Well, you know.
Yeah, well, I didn't drown. I jumped in the water when I heard him coming. You can see how wet I still am.
Yes, of course. So you escaped.
Easily. Enough talk. Hand it over. The greeting card for Boris.
Very well. Let's see. That's San Francisco, of course.
He turned and reached down onto the counter. I slipped my hand under my armpit and held my .38 ready in case he came up with something similar. But all he brought forth was a box marked special. On this, he expected something and handed it to me. I took it with a knowing expression on my face, but I didn't know from nothing as to what it meant. All it was an ordinary postcard, that's all. A picture postcard showing the Golden Gate Bridge. Underneath it, the caption, Wonder Cities of the World, number 25, 1235679, San Francisco. Nothing else. I was afraid my mouth was open.
What's the matter?
Matter?
Don't you know how to read the name? It's so difficult, of course.
Idiot, certainly I know how. I was just admiring the work, that's all.
Oh, it is excellent, isn't it? Look, you'd better go now. You've been in here an awfully long time. We don't want to...
No, of course we don't. I'll go, Vespasian.
Vespasian, I'm sorry to have been overly cautious.
There is no such thing as over-caution.
Yes, thank you. You were so... Well, you seem like an American.
So do you. I strode out onto the street, touching my postcard, but I shoved it inside my sleeve a moment later because who I saw standing under the misty glimmer of a streetlight waiting for me was my heavy-set, mysterious friend from the ferry boat, Connolly. I turned my head around and glanced down the other end of the block behind me. Two other guys were there, sure enough. And they advanced slowly toward me with their hands raised, palms out, as if they were showing me they weren't carrying guns. I reached my hand inside for mine all the same. But I never got to use it because Connolly rushed me from the other side. I caught him on the chin and he went down, clattering into an ash can. The other two boys grabbed me and held my arms behind me. Connolly got up, rubbing his face, and I waited to get murdered. But no.
All right, Joe Lewis. Bring it along.
And so they did. We didn't go far, though, just around the corner to a little hamburger place that had a sign on the door saying closed, although there were lights inside. Connolly knocked on the door, and a fellow with an apron came and opened it and locked it after us. Connolly gave him a nod, and we sat down at a table while he brought us coffee.
Spade, we've checked on you. You seem to be okay. You stand in good with the department, friend.
What department would that be, friend?
This department.
Huh? FBI. Oh.
Now, maybe you can help. Anyhow, we don't want you going around making a noise and messing it up for us, so here it is.
I'm all ears.
Did you ever hear of a man called Boris Kagaminsky?
No.
Well, not many people have, even in Russia. Boris Kagaminsky is the top Soviet agent in America. He's the head man. He organizes and runs everything for them here.
I see.
Now, he came to this country 7 years ago and vanished. We've been trying to find him ever since. False passport, of course. That didn't help. There's nothing anywhere on Kagaminsky. No pictures, not even in Russia. No fingerprints, nothing. Every lead we had, dead end. And then we got word last week... Go ahead, drink your coffee.
Oh, I'm too interested.
We got word last week that another agent, an unimportant little guy named Lyubov, was on his way to San Francisco and that he would definitely have to contact the big gun. Something to do with the Chinese war business that only Kagaminsky is big enough to handle. Well, our man tailed Lyubov all the way out here, and then he lost him. The Oakland ferry. Well, it didn't bother us very much. He called us, and we were waiting on this end. But in pulls the ferry, and no Lyubov.
Lyubov was a dead man on the lifeboat.
Right. He must have been up there waiting to be contacted.
Yeah, then he heard Tony and his concertina, thought this might be it. And then when he realized he'd made a mistake and uncovered himself, he conked Tony on the head.
Right. Yeah. And his Soviet contact got scared of investigations on the boat following Tony's hue and cry and stabbed Lyubov. So, now we're back where we started. Every passenger on that ferry was okay. What's that you're looking at?
Picture postcard. Found a message on Lyubov about the International Postcard Shop and a greeting for... Hey, a greeting for Boris. Boris Kagaminsky.
Now, let me see that.
I bulldozed that guy in the shop to let me have it. Looks like nothing. It's just a picture. But he said he said I could read the name. Give me it.
Golden Gate.
Oh, these numbers. Wonder Cities of the World. Number 251235679. Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Print out the guy's name, Boris.
All right. B-O-R-I-S.
Leave a space.
K-A-R-G-A-M-E-N-S-K-Y.
Now, put numbers, wait a minute. The top number is 9.
Yeah.
All right, put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over Boris, and then start again. 1, 2, 3, up to 9 over Kargaminsky.
Yeah. So?
All right, now look at the postcard. 2, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. Okay, what's 2?
2 is, O.
5.
S.
O-S. Now, Kargaminsky. 1.
K.
2, 3.
A-R.
O-S-K-A-R. Well, I guess we know the rest of it. 5, 6, 7, 9. A-M-E-S, correct?
Correct.
Oscar Ames. Dr. Oscar Ames. What? I was just thinking. He was worried about me catching pneumonia. I called Mama Pizza, and from what she said, we knew where to go. We picked him up at the emergency hospital. He was just finishing the operation on Tony's head. We watched him through the glass, and the other young doctor standing alongside us said he was one of the greatest surgeons they'd ever seen. When he unrolled his gloves and took off his operating mask, he looked up and saw me, alive, and the other boys with me. His scalp tightened for just a second, and then he smiled. It was when he reached into his bag that we rushed him, before he could get the little red bottle to his lips. Period. End of report.
Oh, Sam. A spy story.
Yes, it was, F.
Everything. A chase and being thrown in the water and mysterious people and a code message.
Well, that had kept you awake, Angel.
Sam, what is it like not to want to be in America? Not to want to live the way we do in America?
Yeah, I can't imagine, sweetheart.
I can't either. Sam, about Dr. Ames.
Yeah?
Do you think that, the way you described him and all, do you think you made him sound too sympathetic?
Oh, I described him as he was, that's all.
But will anybody think that, he was attractive?
But you missed the whole point, didn't you? Spies don't go around wearing monocles and talking with heavy accents and acting like spies, not the good ones. It's the attractive, lovable, trustworthy strangers that are dangerous. Now, if you'd met Dr. Ames at a party somewhere, you'd be out with him at a nightclub right now, cooing over a drink and giving him the plans for the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Sometimes I can't...
mad, Sam. I don't even know where Brooklyn is.
Lucky for our side.
You don't hate me, do you, Sam?
Oh, come here.
Oh.
Well, does that answer your question?
Completely. Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart.
The Adventures of Sam Spade are produced, edited, and directed by William Spear. Sam Spade was played by Stephen Dunn. Lorene Tuttle is Effie. Script for tonight's adventure by William Spear. Musical scoring by Lud Gluskin, conducted by Robert Armbruster. 3 chimes mean good times on NBC. There's no cover charge at Duffy's Tavern. Just keep your dial tuned to NBC later as Archie the manager and his delightful friends cook up another mad and merry session at that remarkable restaurant, Duffy's Tavern. This Sunday, the big show comes your way on NBC again, an hour and a half of the best in comedy, music, and drama, with guests Bob Hope, Martin and Lewis, Rosalind Russell, Frankie Lane, and unpredictable Tallulah as MC.
Go ahead, tell them about the thing.
Oh, yes, Sam Spade and Effie asked me to remind you about the thing. The thing for kids for Christmas. You know, the thing can be anything you think an underprivileged child would like for Christmas. In your town, there are civic groups who are cooperating with this Thing for Kids campaign. Send your new or used toys to the collection centers in your town and help make some child's Christmas brighter. It'll make you happier, too. Thank you. Join us again next week, same time, for another adventure with Sam Spade. Enjoy the magnificent Montague, then it's Duffy's Tavern on NBC.